Naruto, Get Stronger by Hanging Up, Chapter 101. Yu didn't want to explain anything. Several people walked slowly towards the Uchiha clan's land. After the Nine-Tails Rebellion, the Uchiha clan was moved to the edge of the village. Or in other words, after the Nine-Tails Rebellion, the Uchiha clan's situation in Konoha was very bad. Although the Uchiha clan could not enter the power core of the village before. But at least they also controlled the Konoha Guard, a powerful department. And they still enjoyed the treatment of a big Konoha family. Even though the Konoha Guard was the department used by the second-generation Hokage to monitor the Uchiha clan. But the final development did allow the Uchiha clan to control a lot of power. But after the Nine-Tails Rebellion, many powers of the Konoha Guard were taken back, and even the clan land was moved to the edge of the village. The Uchiha clan was very proud, and naturally they would not let such a thing happen and remain indifferent. But because of the character problems of the Uchiha clan, they have no good relationship with any family in the village. Even if they want to seize the power of Konoha by uniting with other families, they can't do it. The only way is to rely on a coup. But the embarrassing thing is that there are great differences within the Uchiha clan on whether to seize power by force. Not every member of the Uchiha clan is willing to seize power by force. The final result is that the Uchiha clan was massacred. Sasuke naturally didn't know these. Because he didn't know the truth about the extermination of the Uchiha clan, and after the Uchiha clan was exterminated, the village treated him very well. There were people around him who praised, flattered and envied his family background. As a result, although Sasuke wanted to become stronger to kill Uchiha Itachi at this time, he had no dissatisfaction with the village. Without the influence of the family, many families in the village were actually very interested in Sasuke. As the heir of the Yamanaka clan, Ino can like Sasuke so freely, and no one in the family interferes. It is because they actually support Ino and Sasuke getting along. After all, Sasuke is the only one with Uchiha blood in Konoha village. And because there is no family, if Sasuke is with Ino, the third generation will not have any objection. After all, without the influence of the family, even if Sasuke wants to make trouble, how much impact can it cause? On the contrary, the Uchiha blood in him is coveted by many families. Not only Orochimaru covets him, but many families in the village are also envious. In addition, Sasuke's own talent is excellent enough, which makes him even more popular. So since the family was destroyed, Sasuke has not suffered any grievances in Konoha, but has lived much better than most children. Now Sasuke has a deep sense of identity with Konoha. Of course, all this is based on the premise that he doesn't know the truth about the extermination of the Uchiha clan. If he knew, he probably wouldn't think so. No matter how reasonable and forced the third generation's reasons were, the extermination of the Uchiha clan was still related to him. But the third generation probably wouldn't care. After all, he didn't know how powerful Sasuke would be in the future. Now that the Uchiha clan is gone, even if Sasuke wants to do something to Konoha, he doesn't have the ability. This is also the reason why he arranged Sasuke into Team 7. To put it bluntly, even if he becomes Hokage in the future and knows the truth of the year, what can he do? Itachi Uchiha killed the man, and the third generation at that time was at most hesitant. Without the influence of the Uchiha clan behind him, can Sasuke become Hokage without political wisdom? As a person in a high position, it is naturally impossible to be blinded by family feuds, not to mention that the third generation did not make any big mistakes anyway. He could even blame Danzo. After all, it was he who encouraged the extermination of the Uchiha clan. But these were the ideas of the previous 3 generations. Now the third generation has decided to train Yu, and even plans to wait until Yu is 20 years old and has the strength of the Hokage, then he can abdicate and let him take over. After all, when Yu is 20 years old, the third generation will be over 70 years old. This age is very old for a ninja, and Onoki is not in good health at this age. If there was no strong enough successor, Onoki would have retired long ago. Of course, the third generation certainly doesn't know that Yu's strength has reached the level of Hokage at this time. It's just that he himself feels that his actual combat experience is too poor, and he is far from reaching the level of Kage, at most the level of Jonin. But which Jonin can easily kill the elite Jonin of Kuroki Raiga? Which Jonin can make the Nine Tails amazed? Perhaps among all those who know Yu's true strength, only Yu himself feels that he is far inferior to the level of Kage. What the third generation thinks now, the solution is that if Yu is 20 years old, because he is too young and there are too many voices of opposition, let Kakashi be the fifth generation Hokage first, and wait until Yu is old enough and has enough prestige, then take over. This is perfect. Yu didn't know all this, and so did Kakashi. Yu thought that the third generation wanted to make him a cow and horse in advance, while Kakashi thought that the third generation was training Yu and winning over Yu. Neither of them thought that the third generation had decided to let Yu take over his position. When several people went to the Uchiha clan. After buying Jiraiya's latest novel, Kakashi came to Kimoto's home. Fortunately, Kimoto Tangi had no mission today. Kakashi sat down and Kimoto Tangi asked anxiously, "What's the matter with this mission? Why did you take him out of the village without notifying me?" After Yu left, Kimoto Tangi received the mission and wanted to call Yu. Who knew that the third generation told him that Yu was seconded to Kakashi's class to perform the mission outside the village. He was out for more than a month. Kimoto Tangi was worried for more than a month, fearing that this was the conspiracy of the third generation. What did he want to do to Yu? Kakashi looked at Kimoto Tangi so anxious and felt a little embarrassed. After all, Yu has become a Chunin now, and the third generation's purpose is obviously to hope that Yu can join the affairs of the village. It is definitely impossible to follow Kimoto Tangi to perform missions in the future. Kimoto Tangi is Yu's real teacher, but Yu graduated from him after only a few days of being a teacher. He didn't even have time to teach Yu many ninjutsu before Yu left. Kakashi felt a little guilty towards Kimoto. If he hadn't taken Yu away, and Yu hadn't attracted the attention of the third generation, Yu might still be following Kimoto to carry out missions. He could see that Kimoto attached great importance to Yu, and even regarded Yu as his own disciple, just like him. But Yu hadn't been with him for a few days. Kakashi was silent for a long time, and Kimoto was very nervous, thinking that something had happened to Yu. "Speak up, what's wrong with Yu? You said you would protect him." Because Kakashi looked too much like Yu was in trouble, Kimoto also shouted at Kakashi out of control. Seeing Kimoto so excited, Kakashi's mouth twitched slightly. He felt that Kimoto would definitely be very angry about what he was going to say next. Chapter 102. Kakashi said awkwardly, "Don't be so excited. Now that I'm back safely, do you think anything will happen to Yu?" Kimoto Tangi said coldly, "Don't talk nonsense, tell me how Yu is doing. You took him out of the village without telling me. Have you forgotten what you promised me before? You said that you would take him out of the village to carry out the mission after he has the strength of a Jonin." Kimoto Tangi was very angry. Kakashi's self-willedness made him worried for more than a month. He even wanted to go out of the village to find someone. However, the third generation said that this mission was only a C-level mission, so he thought about waiting. Who knew that he would wait for more than a month? Kakashi no longer concealed the truth and said, "I was forced to take him out of the village this time. I was worried that leaving him in the village would be dangerous. If the higher-ups have any ideas about him, can you stop them by yourself? I can only take him with me." Besides, he performed very well in this mission and his strength grew very fast. If you knew his current strength, you would definitely thank me. Although Kakashi said so, Kimoto Tangi still couldn't be happy. His face was still as gloomy as before. He wouldn't feel relieved until he saw Yu. Seeing Kimoto Tangi's face, Kakashi was a little speechless. He could only continue. This mission was a bit unexpected. It was originally a C-level mission, but the client lied to us. It was actually a B-level mission with a ninja. Kimoto Tangi frowned. He was very worried. After all, although Yu was talented, he had no practical experience. Is he injured? Kimoto Tangi asked nervously. Kakashi smiled and said, injured? How could I possibly let him get hurt? What's more, with your apprentice's current strength, it's really hard for ordinary ninjas to hurt him. In Kakashi's opinion, Yu already has the strength of cage level at this time. There are very few ninjas with cage level strength in the 5 major ninja villages, let alone outside the 5 major ninja villages. Kakashi didn't know the existence of Akatsuki, and didn't know that almost everyone in it was a cage level master. But even in Akatsuki, there are actually not many people. Hearing Kakashi's words, Kimoto Tangi breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that you're not injured. It's good that you're not injured. Kimoto Tangi didn't care how strong Yu was at this time, but was more concerned about whether he was injured. After all, in his opinion, Yu's talent is extremely high, and it's natural for him to be strong. But if he gets injured, it will affect his future development, which is very bad. Kakashi also understands Kimoto Tangi's thoughts, because he has the same mentality towards Yu. After all, he treated Yu as his personal disciple, and after more than a month of getting along, he really treated Yu as a relative. Kakashi thought about it and said, but Tilda. Hearing this, Kimoto Tangi's heart tightened again, and he looked at Kakashi nervously. He was afraid that Kakashi would say something bad about Yu. Kakashi sighed and said with some shame, but I'm afraid he can't stay in your team anymore in the future. Why? Hearing this, Kimoto Tangi stood up excitedly. Kakashi, I gave him to you to teach, but I didn't say I gave him to you completely. I am still his teacher. What do you want to do? Kimoto Tangi thought that Kakashi wanted to snatch Yu away. It's not that he wanted Yu to be his disciple all the time, but he didn't want Yu to follow Kakashi completely. He knew very well what tasks Kakashi was carrying out. It was fine that Kakashi took Yu out of the village without notifying him before. He didn't want it to happen again. Kakashi looked up at Kimoto Ichi and said helplessly, you are anxious again. After all, you were once a jonin in the Anbu. How can you be so uncalm? Kimoto Ichi said coldly, how can I be calm? If I calm down, I will lose my disciple. Seeing Kimoto Ichi so excited, Kakashi hurried to explain. What I mean is that because Yu completed the task very well this time, and the 3rd Hokage admired him very much, the 3rd Hokage directly promoted him to Chunin. And I hope he will train with me. The latter sentence was added by Kakashi himself. The 3rd Hokage never said this. But even if he knew, the 3rd Hokage would not deny it. Team 11 was originally an accident, and the 3rd Hokage did not expect any development of this team. Who knew that Yu appeared? This is why this team has existed until now. If there was no Yu, Team 11 would not exist, and the entire team would not pass the assessment and be sent back to the ninja school for retraining. Kakashi originally thought that Kimoto Tangi would be very angry when he heard the news. Who knew that he would be so happy, really? Kakashi was a little confused. You are not angry. Why would I be angry? My student has become a Chunin, this is a good thing. Mugen Tangi said with a smile. But he can't stay in your team in the future, and he will practice with me in the future. Kakashi emphasized. Mugen Tangi waved his hand, as long as he is fine, it's fine to practice with you. I don't have anything to teach him. He can become stronger by following you. And at least it proves that the 3rd Hokage recognizes him, and I don't need to worry about his safety. Mugen Tangi thinks this is a good thing. As for whether Yu can practice with him in the future, he doesn't care. Originally, he just hoped that Yu could grow up safely, become the pillar of Konoha in the future, and become a hero who protects the village. Now he is getting closer to this goal step by step. How can Mugen Tangi be angry? Kakashi didn't expect Kimoto Ichi to have such an attitude, but he was relieved when he thought of his expectations for Yu. If it were him, he would definitely do the same as Kimoto Ichi. After thinking it through, Kakashi said, "During this mission, we encountered two rebellious ninjas from the Hidden Mist Village, Momochi Zabuza and Kurokaho Raiga. Yuyu's talent exceeded my expectations. I thought I knew enough about Yuyu's talent before. But during the mission, his growth was just like a myth. Now his strength has surpassed mine. In this mission, he killed Kurokaho Raiga by himself, killed 4 Chunins, and suppressed the runaway Naruto. If Momochi Zabuza hadn't run fast at the time, I'm afraid he would have become one of his achievements." Kimoto Ichi looked dazed, staring at Kakashi blankly. If these words hadn't been said by Kakashi, he would have thought someone was telling a myth. As a former Anbujanin, he naturally knew what kind of ninjas Zabuza and Kuroki Raiga were. These two were both elite Jonins from the Hidden Mist Village, and had great reputations in the ninja world. And they were also members of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen, a name that would scare many ninjas in the ninja world. Yu actually killed one of them and scared one away. The most outrageous thing was that Yu actually suppressed the runaway Naruto. He had seen Naruto run away before. At that time, the 3rd Hokage used the entire SEAL squad of Konoha to suppress Naruto. The extreme malice and terrifying chakra of the 9 Tails were hard for him to forget even now. But Yu was not only not injured, but he actually suppressed the runaway Naruto. This sounded too fantastic. Chapter 103. Kimoto Tangi was silent for a long time, then he asked tremblingly, "Is what you said true?" Kakashi said calmly, "Do I have to lie to you?" Kimoto Tangi shook his head, "It's just too shocking, I can't believe it. Yu, this kid actually has the strength to kill an elite Jonin, it seems that he can easily defeat me now. That's reassuring, I don't have to worry about him when he follows you out of the village to perform missions in the future." Although he said that, Kimoto Tangi was still a little lonely. After all, he is Yu's real teacher, but Yu's strength is not because of him. Kakashi saw what Kimoto Tangi was thinking, patted him on the shoulder, and comforted him. "You didn't tell the village about his strength at the beginning, but protected him, you are the best person for him. In the past month, he has mentioned you a lot, I know you are very important in his heart." Kakashi did not lie about this. Although Kimoto Tangi did not teach Yu many ninjutsu, he was his teacher for a very short time. But in Yu's heart, Kimoto Tangi has always been his teacher, and a very important teacher. Kakashi was willing to teach him, and he was able to show his strength and stay safe until now, all because of Kimoto Tangi. Yu could feel Kimoto Tangi's kindness to him. So when Kakashi said he wanted to take him as a disciple, he first thought of Kimoto Tangi's feelings. If Kimoto Tangi disagreed at that time, Yu would definitely reject Kakashi, even if he knew that it would be better to follow Kakashi. In fact, Kimoto Tangi finally chose the best decision for Yu. Kimoto Tangi nodded, and he sighed, "It is precisely because of this child's personality that I am so worried and miss him. Although I haven't taught him anything, he will always be my proudest disciple." Kakashi understands Kimoto Tangi's feelings, because he has the same feelings for Yu. On the other side, Yu, Sakura and Naruto followed Sasuke to the clan land of the Uchiha clan. The quiet atmosphere around made Sakura and Naruto a little scared. In addition, it was getting dark, and there were only street lights on except for the occasional chirping of insects and birds. The houses around were all very beautiful. But there were no people on the street, and it was as quiet as a ghost town. It was the first time for Sakura and Naruto to come here, and they were not used to this atmosphere at all. Naruto was so nervous that he leaned against Yu tightly, fearing that something dirty would jump out of the roadside. Although Sakura was also scared, she didn't want to show it in front of Sasuke. She walked beside Sasuke and didn't say anything. Sasuke was already used to this atmosphere. Although Yu was here for the first time, he was not afraid at all. But he frowned and looked solemn at this time. It was not because of fear, but because he thought that Sasuke had lived in such an environment for 5 years. It was unbelievable to think about it. He actually lived here for 5 years, and Yu didn't know how he had survived these 5 years. And for a 7-year-old child, he had to pass such a gloomy place every day for 5 years. How strong must his mental quality be? You know, whether it's Yu, Naruto or Sakura, the place where they live is not so deserted. It will definitely not be as gloomy and terrifying as the Uchiha clan's clanland. After walking in silence for a long time, Yu asked, "Why do you live here all the time?" Yu doesn't believe that the village will let Sasuke live here all the time. There are basically no people here. If something happens, it will be too late to rescue. Even if the third generation doesn't care about Sasuke's safety, with Uchiha Itachi watching outside, the third generation will not let Sasuke get into trouble. But in fact, the third generation really cares about Sasuke's safety. We'll never take the initiative to let Sasuke live here. Sasuke looked around and seemed to have gotten used to it. He said lightly, "Living here, I will feel that they haven't left yet." Yu knew who Sasuke was talking about. For a moment, Yu didn't know what to say. He couldn't imagine how Sasuke had been through all these years. Sakura looked at Sasuke's frowning face and felt a little distressed. But she didn't know how to comfort him. Now, Sakura could personally experience Sasuke's inner pain. The whole family was exterminated. Sakura couldn't imagine what it would be like if her parents were killed and she didn't have her parents nagging every time she returned home. She used to feel very relaxed and comfortable, but now she feels very lucky. Compared to Sasuke, at least her family is still there. Naruto was surprisingly silent. Because he could also understand Sasuke's situation. Sasuke was once very happiness, but suddenly it was all gone overnight. Naruto had never had it. But in fact, the two people felt completely different. None of them spoke anymore, and they crossed the original street of the Uchiha clan and finally came to Sasuke's house. It must be said that Sasuke's house does have the momentum of a wealthy family, and the area is very large. Among the few people, Sasuke's house must be the largest one. It's just that the huge house is empty. Living here every day is really a test of courage. Those who are less courageous will probably be scared to death. In the living room, several people sat together. This is the first time Sasuke invited a classmate home. If it was before, it must be his mother who came out to entertain the guests. But now, there is only Sasuke. Several people were silent for a long time, and no one spoke. Seeing that the atmosphere was so solemn, Yu could only speak first. "Sasuke, doesn't your family have any training methods for Sharingan?" Sasuke shook his head. It was probably looted by old guy Danzo. Yu thought to himself. "I heard from teacher Kakashi about some characteristics of the Sharingan." Hearing what Yu said, Sasuke raised his head and looked at Yu expectantly. Yu thought for a while and said, "The Sharingan can only be opened with strong emotional fluctuations." "When you opened the Sharingan, did you have any intense emotional fluctuations?" Sasuke was silent. He remembered the scene of the night of the genocide. Sasuke gritted his teeth, clenched his fists, and his emotions were a little out of control. Sakura and Naruto looked at Sasuke at this time and were a little worried. "Sasuke, are you okay?" Yu didn't say anything, and looked at Sasuke quietly. He knew what Sasuke remembered. It seems that the process of opening your Sharingan was not easy. Intense emotional fluctuations can be extreme hatred, extreme love, or extreme jealousy. I think these are all emotional changes that can open the Sharingan. Sasuke raised his head and looked at Yu. He knew something. Uchiha Itachi told him when he was a child. And Sasuke actually knew the Mangekyo Sharingan, but he didn't know what it was called. Uchiha Itachi showed it to him before he left. After thinking about it, Sasuke told Yu, "Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan is different from the ones I have seen. It is not a Magatama, but another complex pattern." "Oh, will there be another Sharingan above the 3 Magatama Sharingan? Yu asked. Yu certainly knew the Mangekyo Sharingan, but Sasuke didn't know. He wanted to guide Sasuke to realize the existence of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Chapter 104. Sasuke also fell into deep thought. However, Naruto and Sakura were confused by the conversation between Yu and Sasuke, and they didn't know what the two were talking about. The two didn't know much about the Uchiha clan. They just thought that the Uchiha clan was a very powerful family, but they were exterminated. Sasuke looked at Yu and said doubtfully, maybe, his Sharingan is very strong. Yu knew that Sasuke realized that there really was a Sharingan above the 3 Magatama Sharingan. So he said, maybe some books in your family have records. Judging from Sasuke's actions when he returned to Konoha during the 4th Ninja World War, Danzo didn't take away all the information about the Uchiha clan. For Danzo, the most important information is probably about the Sharingan. He probably wasn't interested in records such as the family history of the Uchiha clan. Sasuke thought of something. There should be records about this in our family's shrine. Yu asked, do you know where it is? Do you want to go and have a look? Sasuke, who was somewhat moved by Yu's encouragement, stood up. Let's go and have a look. Yu also stood up and said, then go and have a look, maybe there are records about your brother's Sharingan. Sasuke frowned, he is not my brother. Sasuke was very disgusted with Yu calling Uchiha Itachi his brother. That was the person who slaughtered his entire family. Even if he had a good relationship with Uchiha Itachi before, he could not forgive him at this time. Sorry, then let's go. In fact, I also want to know more about your family. Naruto, Sakura, are you going? Naruto, who had been confused since just now and had no idea what Yu and Sasuke were talking about, Sakura quickly said, go, of course we will go. But both of them regarded this action as an adventure game. In the past, the Uchiha clan's shrine would naturally not allow outsiders to enter. But now that the Uchiha clan is gone, Sasuke naturally doesn't care. Soon, Sasuke brought a few people to the Uchiha clan's shrine. Although it was a bit shabby, it can be seen that someone has been maintaining it. It should be someone from the village. After all, it was once the shrine of the Uchiha clan. Even if the village is just pretending, it is impossible to destroy such an important place as the shrine. Several people came to the entrance of the shrine. Sakura and Naruto were very scared. This place was more gloomy and terrifying than the deserted street just now. Sakura couldn't calm down either, and one hand kept grabbing Sasuke's clothes. Naruto grabbed Yu's arm and looked around, fearing that there would be something dirty running out. Yu was a little speechless. But he knew Naruto's character. In fact, Naruto was not very courageous. So Yu didn't care what Naruto did. Entering the shrine, there are many tablets of the ancestors of the Uchiha clan. Looking at the neatly arranged tablets, Sasuke was a little dazed for a while. He hasn't been here for a long time, and there is no change now compared to when he came before. Yu stood in front of the tablets and looked at the densely packed names on them. He could feel how powerful the Uchiha clan was in the past. Those who can have their own tablets in this shrine must be the strong men of the Uchiha clan. There are hundreds of tablets here, which means that hundreds of strong men of the Uchiha clan have fallen before. Standing in front of these tablets, Yu bowed to them solemnly. After all, to find the secrets of the Uchiha clan, not only to help Sasuke find the records of the Sharingan, Yu himself is also very interested in the history of the Uchiha clan. Although the Konoha Public Library has the history of the Uchiha clan, it is not detailed. After seeing Yu bowing to the tablet, although they didn't know what was going on. But Naruto and Sakura followed Yu and bowed to the tablet several times. Sasuke looked at the actions of the three people and was somewhat moved. He thought of the worship of these tablets by the clan members when they came to the shrine before. Unfortunately, no one does this now. After Yu and the others finished worshipping, Sasuke took the three to the back of the shrine. There is a huge flat stone tablet behind the shrine lobby. Sasuke pointed to the stone tablet and said, I have seen the clan members enter the shrine through here before. There is a secret room below, which is where the information of the Uchiha clan is stored. But I don't know how to open this stone tablet. My father took me in that year. Naruto and Sakura didn't know what was going on, so they stood by and didn't say anything. Today, the worldviews of both of them were impacted. For the first time, the two felt the huge gap between the ninja family and the civilians. Yu looked at after looking at the stone tablet for a long time, he turned to look at Sasuke and said, I think the way to open this stone tablet is written on it. These mysterious words on it should be the way to open it. You can use the Sharingan to look at the words on the stone tablet, and you should be able to understand it. Sasuke was stunned for a moment. He had come here several times before, but he couldn't find a way to open this stone tablet every time. Sasuke had never thought of using the Sharingan to look at the words on the stone tablet before. But since Yu said so, he thought he might really find a way to open the stone tablet. Sasuke stood in front of the stone tablet, his eyes slightly fixed. After his eyes condensed the chakra, Sharingan. In an instant, Sasuke opened the Sharingan. When he set his eyes on the stone tablet, he suddenly found that he could understand all the mysterious words on the stone tablet that he had never recognized before. Sasuke was delighted and said, You were right. The method to open the stone tablet is written on it. Yu also smiled and said, I guessed right. Uchiha clan will definitely use a method that only the Uchiha clan can interpret to set up a method to open the stone tablet. Sasuke was very happy and nodded, I really didn't think of it before. So that's it. Looking at the words on the stone tablet, Sasuke knew how to open the stone tablet. After reading it, he looked at Yu and said, Now I know how to open it. Yu knew what Sasuke wanted to do, and pulled Naruto and Sakura back a few steps. From the beginning, Sakura and Naruto have been in a state of confusion, and they have no idea what Yu and Sasuke are doing. What they thought in their hearts was, didn't they say they came here to practice? How did it become an adventure game? For the two of them, the actions of several people are an adventure game. The environment is also very suitable. Sasuke stood in front of the stone tablet and began to make seals with his hands. Seal release. After Sasuke completed the seal, he slapped one hand on the stone tablet. Just as Sasuke transferred the chakra from his hand to the stone tablet, the heavy stone tablet slowly moved forward. Boom, boom, boom. When the heavy stone tablet moved, there was a lot of noise. After all, it was a stone tablet weighing several tons. The surrounding area was filled with dust by the movement of the stone tablet. After the stone tablet moved, a passage appeared underneath. Sasuke was very happy, he was about to know the secret of the Sharingan. Yu was also very happy, he could know the history of the Uchiha clan. Yu was not interested in the ninjutsu of the Uchiha clan, he knew very well that many of the ninjutsu of the Uchiha clan were related to the Sharingan. It would be useless for him to learn it. But Yu was very interested in the history of the Uchiha clan. After all, his understanding of the Uchiha clan has become a little incomplete as time goes by, and when he watched Naruto before, the history of the Uchiha clan was not introduced in such detail. Sakura and Naruto on the side felt like they had opened a treasure hiding place. The two have always regarded this action as an adventure game. Chapter 105. After the stone tablet was completely moved away, the passage to the underground secret room was revealed. A gust of cold wind blew out from inside. Naruto and Sakura shivered. The gloomy atmosphere scared them both. But seeing that Yu and Sasuke were not afraid, they were too embarrassed to say anything. Sasuke turned his head and looked at Yu. His father had brought him here before, and he didn't know if there was a mechanism in this secret room. He didn't dare to take Yu and Naruto down casually. Yu smiled and said, let's go down and take a look first. Sasuke nodded. He was also worried that there would be a mechanism in the secret room, which would hurt Sakura and Naruto. Although Sasuke seemed to look down on Sakura and Naruto, in fact, in his heart, Sakura and Naruto had long been good friends. Otherwise, he would never agree to the two of them coming to the Uchiha clan's shrine. But Sakura and Naruto looked around, and they found that staying up there was more terrifying than following Yu and Sasuke down. So the two of them said quickly, Yu, Sasuke, we will go down together, we are not afraid. Yu looked at the two people, and the fear was written on their faces. After thinking about it, Yu said helplessly, but there may be a mechanism in the secret room, it is very dangerous for you to go down together. Sasuke nodded and echoed Yu's statement. Sakura stepped forward and said, since Sasuke has been here before, there must be no danger. Seeing Sakura's fear, Yu shook his head, very helpless. Sasuke, take them with you. Although he knew that the two were afraid, Yu did not point it out. Sasuke glanced at Yu and instantly knew what Yu meant. Although he was a little worried about the safety of the two, he agreed when he thought of Yu being there. After Yu and Sasuke agreed, Sakura and Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. From just now, they were very sensitive to the atmosphere around them, it was too gloomy and terrifying. They didn't know how Sasuke lived in such an environment for so many years. The four of them came to the passage at the entrance of the secret room. There was a stone staircase leading to the secret room. The situation in the secret room could not be seen at the entrance because it was pitch black inside. Sasuke looked at Yu, who nodded, and the two entered the secret room first. Sakura and Naruto followed the two carefully into the secret room. In fact, even Sasuke was a little nervous. When he came with his father before, there were people in the secret room. Now I don't know if there will be any mechanism in the secret room. Tap tap tap. The four of them entered the secret room step by step. The passage around the secret room was made of stone. Fortunately, when they entered the passage, the lights on the walls of the passage lit up automatically. But the more this happened, the more dangerous Yu felt. After walking more than 10 meters, they still did not enter the secret room. The passage was very long, and the few people did not speak, but the atmosphere became more and more tense. Sakura walked behind Sasuke all the time, pulling his clothes. Naruto took out a kunai and held it in his hand, and the other hand also grabbed Yu's clothes. In the passage, there were only 4 footsteps, and the footsteps were very obvious. Wind, wind, wind. Just when they turned a corner, there was a sound of breaking through the air. The speed was too fast, and Naruto and Sakura didn't react at the corner. Sasuke noticed it because he had opened the Sharingan before. But when he saw the weapons shot at him with the Sharingan, he was scared. Countless kunai and shuriken shot at them. And the speed was extremely fast, much faster than the ninjas, and the force was also very heavy. There was even a sonic boom. Be careful. Although Sasuke saw it with the Sharingan, his body couldn't react. He could only warn a few people out loud. But it was too late. Countless kunai and shuriken appeared in front of them in an instant. Sasuke could only watch these ninja tools burst towards them. At this moment, Sasuke regretted it very much. I should have known not to let them in together. Sasuke felt guilty. He couldn't block this level of kunai and shuriken at all, too fast, too heavy, too many. Even his body couldn't react. The dense kunai and shuriken were less than 1 meter away from his body, and his body didn't move. Sasuke was like this, and Sakura and Naruto were even more so. They didn't even see the kunai and shuriken appear, they only heard Sasuke's words. Because they didn't see the kunai and shuriken so close, the two were still confused, not knowing why Sasuke told them to be careful. Seeing that the dense kunai and shuriken were about to hit him at the moment of their arrival, a golden light flashed. Sizzle tilde. Thunder release thunder net. Ding ding ding. In an instant, countless kunai and shuriken bombarded the golden shield. For a moment, golden iron intertwined, fire shone, iron filings flew, and the surrounding stone walls were hit by dense holes from the damaged kunai and shuriken. The kunai and shuriken lasted for a full 2 seconds, and it is estimated that hundreds of kunai and shuriken all bombarded the golden shield. After a long time, the sound of gold and iron colliding disappeared, and the sparks disappeared, and Sasuke, Naruto and Sakura reacted. Looking at the golden light that enveloped them. There were also golden arcs of electricity containing terrifying energy flashing on it. These golden arcs of electricity condensed into a golden shield, protecting them in the middle. Sasuke and Naruto had never seen this kind of ninjutsu. But Sakura had seen it. He turned his head and looked at Yu. Yu, if it weren't for you, we would have been dead. I was scared to death. Sakura had seen it before, so although she was still a little shocked, she didn't believe it. But Naruto and Sasuke had never seen Yu show such a terrifying power, so they were shocked by Yu's power for a long time. They had only seen Yu fight a few times before, but they had never seen Yu use lightning ninjutsu. When Yu fought with the runaway Naruto, although he used the same ninjutsu, Naruto had lost consciousness at that time and had no memory of this ninjutsu. The light condensed by Yu's lightning net was too dazzling. It was even bright and dazzling. But they couldn't care about these at this time. Both of them were shocked by Yu's power as if they had seen a miracle. Neither of them noticed that when Yu released the lightning net, he didn't make any seals at all. That's right, after a period of improvement, Yu's several lightning ninjutsu no longer need to make seals, and can be released by condensing chakra. Just now, Yu just sensed the attack and immediately released the lightning net. Almost just his consciousness can release it instantly. After a long time, Sasuke and Naruto came back to their senses and looked at Yu. Yu, is this your power? Yu said lightly, let's go in first. Be careful, there are really mechanisms inside. Although Sasuke and Naruto were very curious about Yu's power, they could only suppress it in their hearts and ask again after entering. Yu has been maintaining the lightning net, which can not only illuminate, but also prevent possible attacks. Chapter 106. The four continued to walk towards the secret room. After walking for more than 10 meters, the four saw the end of the passage. With the lights on in the distance, they saw the Uchiha clan emblem in the middle of the secret room. We are finally here. But just as the four were about to enter the secret room, the surrounding walls suddenly spewed out terrifying flames. The fiery red flames rushed towards the few people. The passage before entering the secret room was filled with flames for 5 or 6 meters. At this time, the four were in the middle of the flames. However, the flames were blasted away the moment they touched the lightning net. A vacuum zone was formed between the flames and the lightning net. The flames that could melt steel could not shake the lightning net at all. Even the four people protected in it did not feel a trace of heat. It was still very shocking to be in the sea of fire and watch the fiery red flames burning around. They even saw that the originally smooth wall had cracked into several cracks at this time. That was cracked by the burning of the flames. It is enough to see how high the temperature of the flame is. But such a terrifying flame could not shake them at all, and they did not even feel the heat. And all this was because of the golden lightning that enveloped them. At this moment, the three were once again shocked by Yu's strength. Yu did not want to use it, but the mechanism set up by the Uchiha clan here, the temperature of the flame was too high, and the use of water escape ninjutsu would definitely not be able to block it. Moreover, in this closed environment, using water escape ninjutsu to bombard such a high temperature flame, the huge amount of water vapor can instantly blow the shrine into ruins. Yu was also very speechless. Uchiha clan are too cruel. Even a Jonin can't handle these two mechanisms. Sasuke rolled his eyes at Yu. I didn't encounter these when I came in before. It's obvious that these mechanisms can be turned off. And you have the nerve to say that even a Jonin can't handle it. What are you doing now? You can handle the mechanisms that even a Jonin can't handle easily. I don't think you are struggling at all. Yu felt Sasuke's strong envy and jealousy. He didn't want to stay here any longer. The flames hadn't dissipated yet. Staying here for one more second would consume a lot of chakra. The temperature of this flame was very high, and the lightning net consumed a lot of chakra. Even if his chakra recovered quickly, he didn't want to stay here any longer. He didn't want to make Sasuke and Naruto jealous. Go in. If you stay here any longer, you'll be roasted. Although they didn't feel any heat, Sasuke and the others really thought that Yu had a hard time maintaining this ninjutsu. After all, they could all see that the temperature of the flame was very high. The flame was even bright red, and the light was dazzling, so the temperature could not be much lower. Especially Sasuke, who had mastered some fire escape ninjutsu, knew that the temperature of the flame of this mechanism was definitely much higher than what he released. After several people entered the secret room, the flames in the passage also dissipated. The originally smooth and bright walls have now become charred, extremely rough, and even have countless cracks. If they burn for a while longer, it is estimated that the stones of the wall will be burned to ashes. After several people entered the secret room, the surrounding oil lamps automatically lit up. The entire secret room was illuminated, and the situation of the entire secret room was visible at a glance. Yu looked at this quaint secret room and nodded. It is worthy of being a big family. Without some accumulation, there can't be such a quaint feeling. Just when Yu was admiring the layout of the secret room, Sasuke stood in front of Yu, staring at him closely. The same is true for Naruto. Sakura was frightened by the two and hid behind Yu. Soon, Yu also noticed the two people's fiery gazes. Yu took a step back, fearing that the two people had some special hobbies. What are you doing? Sasuke said coldly. Did Kakashi teach you the ninjutsu you used just now? Yes, it must be Kakashi who taught you, right? Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Yes, it was Kakashi who taught me. Is there any problem? Although this ninjutsu was developed by Yu himself, he naturally could not admit it. After all, if he said so, the person the two people were looking for must not be him, but Kakashi. At this time, Kakashi, who was reading a newly bought novel at home, suddenly sneezed a few times. He looked out the window and frowned. Who is thinking about me? It must be this guy Kai. He just said a sentence to himself and then read the book again, very focused. Obviously Jiraiya's new work is still quite exciting. And in the secret room, Sasuke and Naruto heard that it was Kakashi who taught. After that, he was a little angry. Kakashi is so good to you that he taught you such a powerful ninjutsu, Sasuke said with some jealousy. Naruto nodded in agreement. If it weren't for the fact that you and Kakashi don't look alike, I really think you are Kakashi's son. Yu was a little speechless. You don't have to be so indignant. As long as you want to learn and have the conditions to learn, Kakashi will definitely teach you. The reason why Kakashi doesn't teach you is not that he doesn't want to teach, but that you haven't learned many basics now. How can he teach? The ninjutsu I used just now is a forbidden technique. If you don't pay attention, you will be backfired by the ninjutsu and die without knowing how you died. So you should hone your basics first. Listening to Yu's words, Sasuke nodded. He agreed with this point. Because he had practiced with his father and Uchiha Itachi before, he knew the importance of the basics. Naruto didn't understand. He stood aside with his hands folded, curled his lips and said, I see you use it very easily, and you don't look dangerous at all. You are just lying. Although he knew that Yu was very strong, Naruto still thought that this ninjutsu was taught by Kakashi. As long as he could learn it, he would not be worse than Yu. If Naruto knew that he didn't have lightning chakra, it would be extremely difficult to learn this ninjutsu. I don't know what he would think. Sakura stood behind Yu and watched him talk nonsense. Although Sakura didn't know about Yu's ninjutsu, she had seen Kakashi fight several times. In the two battles between Kakashi and Zabuza, Zabuza almost forced Kakashi into a desperate situation, but he didn't use it. It is obvious that this ninjutsu was not taught by Kakashi to Yu at all. Otherwise, Kakashi would have used it in the battle. But she didn't expose it. She is now more and more sure that Yu is definitely much stronger than Kakashi. Because she was by Yu's side in several battles, Yu showed much more strength than Kakashi. And Yu's lightning release was golden lightning, while Kakashi's was blue. They were completely different colors. And Yu's lightning release was obviously much more powerful than Kakashi's. She definitely didn't believe that Kakashi taught Yu's lightning release. Standing behind Yu and looking at Yu, Sakura thought to herself, Yu, what kind of person are you? From the first day she met Yu, Sakura felt that Yu was very mysterious. He seemed like a black hole, and it was impossible to really understand him. Chapter 107. Yu did not answer Naruto's words. He changed the subject and said, let's find out if there are any records about the Sharingan here. Don't forget what our purpose is this time. After Yu reminded them, they remembered what they were doing here. They all started looking in the secret room. Yu did not participate in the search, his eyes were on a stone under the Uchiha clan emblem. There were mysterious words engraved on the stone. Is this the stone that records the history of the Uchiha clan? But it seems that it has been changed by Black Zetsu, causing Uchiha Madara, who has been planning for decades, to become a clown. Soon, Sasuke, Naruto and Sakura placed the books they found in front of Yu. All the books in this secret room are here, there should be no omissions. Yu looked at the basic books in front of him. Sasuke, are you sure we can read these books? This involves the secrets of your Uchiha clan. Yu did not open it, but asked Sasuke if he was willing to let them see it. Naruto, who had stretched out his hand to open it, retracted his hand. Together with Sakura, they all looked at Sasuke. Sasuke said calmly, the Uchiha clan is gone, and there is no point in keeping these materials here. Why keep them if you don't read them? Look, maybe there are ninjutsu that will benefit you. For Sasuke, the Uchiha clan has been destroyed, and now he has only one goal, which is to become strong enough and then seek revenge on Uchiha Itachi. These materials are of no use to him. After getting Sasuke's permission, Yu said, okay, let's read it. Several people picked up a book each. Yu took the history of the Uchiha clan. Naruto took the book that recorded the Uchiha clan's ninjutsu. Sakura took the book that recorded the Uchiha clan's illusions. Sasuke took the book about the Sharingan. For a moment, in the entire secret room, no one spoke, and all their attention was on the books in their hands. After a long time, Yu closed the book in his hand first. Now he roughly understands the history of the Uchiha clan. Many things that he didn't remember were written on it. Including the history before Uchiha Madara were recorded clearly. After reading it, Yu sighed, Uchiha Madara is worthy of being the best ninja of the Uchiha clan. He actually occupies 1/10 of the records of the Uchiha clan. You know, the history of the Uchiha clan is thousands of years old. But the records about Uchiha Madara account for 1/10. It can be seen how important Uchiha Madara is to the Uchiha clan. Yu looked at Sasuke who was reading a book and asked, do you know what Sharingan is after the 3 Magatama Sharingan now? Sasuke raised his head with a puzzled look on his face. He focused all his attention on how to develop the Sharingan and didn't look at the back. Looking at Sasuke's confused look, Yu held his forehead. Are you focusing on the wrong thing? Don't start by looking at how to develop the Sharingan. First, look at what the Sharingan has and what its characteristics are. These are the basics. Your father probably didn't teach you before, did he? Yu remembered that Uchiha Fugaku only taught Sasuke a few fire escape ninjutsu. As for the use of the Sharingan or its characteristics, they were not taught at all, because Sasuke hadn't opened his eyes at that time. Sasuke only knew some basic properties of the Sharingan at most, and that knowledge was known even to people who were not from the Uchiha clan. Sasuke was a little embarrassed. This book records many methods of developing the Sharingan. I was too fascinated by it. Sakura and Naruto looked over, but they didn't see anything. Let alone Naruto, he couldn't understand what was written in the book at all. He knew all those words, but he couldn't understand them when they were combined. This was the limit of the ability of the last one in the ninja school. After entering the ninja school, the only thing he learned was literacy and some ninja tool throwing techniques, and his level of ninja tool throwing techniques was not very high. As for the theoretical knowledge of ninjas and ninjutsu, don't make it difficult for Naruto. Sakura understood it and gained a lot. She was very interested in several illusions recorded in the book. And she was shocked by the power of the illusions of the Uchiha clan. She even sighed in her heart, it's worthy of the Uchiha clan, worthy of the former Konoha family. Although most of the illusions recorded in the book require the use of Sharingan, there are also several that can be used without Sharingan. And Sakura is interested in those illusions. Seeing the three people looking over, Yu said, I have finished reading the history of the Uchiha clan. It says that after the three Magatama Sharingan, there is an eye called the Mangekyo Sharingan. That is an eye with strange power, and it also hides a powerful eye technique. I think Uchiha Itachi's eyes are the Mangekyo Sharingan. If he really has the Mangekyo Sharingan, it is indeed difficult to deal with him. Because in the thousands of years of history of your Uchiha clan, there are not many ninjas who can open the Mangekyo Sharingan. It can even be said that there are only a few. In historical records, before the establishment of Konoha, a ninja named Uchiha Madara of the Uchiha clan opened the Mangekyo Sharingan. His power was so strong that the ninjas of the entire ninja world at that time did not dare to look directly into his eyes. And those eyes also have a power similar to that of a god, and even have the power to easily destroy a country and control the Nine Tails. Sasuke was stunned when he heard what Yu said. He didn't know this. Let alone Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto were stunned after listening to Yu's story. Naruto asked solemnly, what kind of power can easily destroy a country? And, can that kind of eyes control the Nine Tails? Naruto knew very well how powerful the Nine Tails was. Although every time he went berserk, his memory was incomplete, and he even lost it completely. But looking at the destruction afterwards and Sakura's description, he knew how terrifying the Nine Tails' power was. But such a powerful Nine Tails could actually be controlled. And there was not only one pair of such eyes, Sasuke's brother had a pair. Although Naruto hated the Nine Tails, after all, it was sealed in his body, which meant that the Mangekyo Sharingan could easily control him. Naruto was very worried, and he believed that Yu would not lie to him. There really was a power in this world that could control the Nine Tails, and it was not difficult. Naruto's trembling words made the three of them look at him. Yu comforted him, don't worry, as long as you get the approval of the Nine Tails, the Mangekyo Sharingan will find it difficult to control you. The Mangekyo Sharingan can easily be cracked by the tailed beast in the body to control the Jinchuriki. The premise is that the tailed beast in the Jinchuriki's body must be willing to help the Jinchuriki crack it. Most Jinchuriki are actually unable to coexist peacefully with the tailed beasts, and it is impossible to be like Killer Bee. So once many Jinchuriki are controlled by the Sharingan, they are finished. Yu looked at Naruto's abdomen and then said, and even if you are really controlled by the Sharingan's illusion, the Nine Tails will definitely help you to get rid of it. After all, you are his Jinchuriki. If something happens to you, it will also suffer. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this explanation. He was really worried. After all, this record had a lot to do with him. Chapter 108. Sasuke was shocked by the powerful force of the Mangekyo Sharingan. In Yu's description, the Mangekyo Sharingan was too powerful. Especially when Yu talked about Uchiha Madara, the ninjas in the entire ninja world could not look him in the eye. Too strong, too handsome. That kind of power is what Sasuke needs. Sasuke clenched his fists, his eyes slightly fixed. As long as I open the Mangekyo Sharingan, I can kill him, I can definitely do it. I'm afraid you have to work hard. After all, it is obvious that Uchiha Itachi also has the Mangekyo Sharingan. But I always believe that you will be stronger than him in the future, and much stronger. Yu said. Sasuke was stunned for a moment, looking at Yu, very confused. Why are you so sure? Yu smiled, because I can see that you have great potential, and most importantly, you have a goal that must be achieved, and you are also a person who can give up everything to achieve this goal. So I have great confidence in you. These words are naturally made up by Yu. But the result must be true. After all, Yu knew what would happen in the future. But Yu seemed to have forgotten that his appearance had changed many things. Hearing Yu's words, Sasuke's expression was very complicated. Yu was very confident in him, but this expectation was too heavy. I don't know when Yu became very important to him. The expectations of important people are a great burden for him. However, Sasuke still plucked up the courage and said coldly, "Of course, I can do it, and I will definitely defeat you in the future." Perhaps seeing Sasuke's imposing words, Naruto was unwilling to lag behind, stood up and clenched his fist towards Yu and said, "And me, I will definitely defeat your Yu in the future." Sasuke, we are rarely united on this point. Naruto looked at Sasuke and said expectantly. But Sasuke ignored him. Although he did think about defeating Yu in the future, he himself had no confidence. In his heart, Yu has become more powerful and more difficult to surpass than Uchiha Itachi. But he is not hostile to Yu. Because he really regards Yu as his friend. A very important friend. The words Yu said to him several times before have made him gain a lot. He also understands that Yu is really good for him. Over the years, he feels that Yu is the one who really cares about him. Of course, all this is Sasuke's own feelings. The reason why Yu said those words to him is more to hope that he will not bother himself. It is too troublesome. Sasuke now feels that it is still possible to defeat Uchiha Itachi, and he even thinks that according to Yu's method, there is a great possibility of doing it. But he doesn't think he can defeat Yu in the future. Yu's growth rate is too fast, and he can't even see Yu's back now. Naturally, he will not chase Yu again. If the gap is not big, jealousy may arise. But if you can't even see the other party's back, it is very likely that you will not regard the other party as an opponent. After all, you don't know where the opponent is. This is what Sasuke is thinking at this time. So he didn't agree with Naruto. He even thought he was a bit of an idiot. Even a fool could see the difference in strength between them, but Naruto had an inexplicable confidence that he could surpass Yu tomorrow, which made it difficult for him to agree. Seeing that Sasuke ignored him, Naruto gritted his teeth angrily. "Asshole, Sasuke, you don't think you can't surpass Yu, right?" Seeing that the two were about to fight, Yu could only stand up and hold Naruto. "Okay, Naruto, I'm here, I welcome your challenge, anytime, so just work hard, don't keep emphasizing it." Sasuke must think the same as you, but who wants to keep saying this? As a real strong man, you should have the posture of a strong man, and you will definitely not be as impetuous as you. Masters are often silent. Just do it. The less you say, the better, the less handsome, isn't it? Naruto was stunned when he heard it. He even imagined himself becoming a master, stepping on Yu, and Sakura throwing herself into his arms. Even this guy couldn't help laughing. Yu was speechless. You can't hold back your delusions, right? Yu shook his head. I feel a little tired. It's a miracle that Naruto can do what he did later with his personality. Sakura also saw what Naruto was thinking. She distanced herself from him. Naruto was immersed in Yu's description for a long time. It seems that he was very interested in Yu's words, and even deliberately put on a cold face similar to Sasuke afterwards. But with his personality, he couldn't hold on for long. Yu Yu didn't care about him anymore. Sasuke looked at Yu Yu and asked, "Who is the Uchiha Madara you just mentioned? Is he really strong?" Sasuke was still interested in this kind of thing. Sakura was actually very curious. She knew that the Uchiha clan was a wealthy family, but she rarely heard of any masters in the Uchiha clan. Of course, that was because the Uchiha clan was exterminated when Sakura was very young. Where could she hear about it? And even the ninjas of Konoha village knew very little about Uchiha Madara. What's more outrageous is that even the Uchiha clan themselves knew very little about Uchiha Madara. Yu Yu didn't know why they sealed the history of the Uchiha clan in this place instead of teaching it to the younger generation of the Uchiha clan. In fact, it's not just the Uchiha clan. The ninjas of Konoha don't know much about the history of their ancestors. Obviously, the first Hokage, one of the founders of Konoha village, is so much of a topic. But no one discusses it, and even many ninjas don't know what the first Hokage's name is. It's really too outrageous. Even Hashirama Senju was treated like this, not to mention Uchiha Madara, who is even more difficult to mention. Sasuke's knowledge of Uchiha Madara is really completely blank, and he doesn't know anything about it. Yu Yu now knows it, so he introduced it. It is recorded above that Uchiha Madara was once the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, a powerful ninja with a Mangekyo Sharingan, and a legendary ninja who ended the ninja chaos with the first Hokage Hashirama Senju. And he is one of the founders of Konoha village who joined hands with the first Hokage. He has the power to destroy a country, and his ninjutsu is so powerful that it can change the terrain. But later he and the first Hokage had different ideas about the development of the village, so he finally chose to leave. After that, I don't know what happened. He returned to Konoha and wanted to forcibly change Konoha village. The first generation Hokage tried to stop them, and the two fought in the Valley of the End, and the Valley of the End was caused by their ninjutsu. It is enough to show that both Uchiha Madara and the first generation Hokage have power that surpasses this era. It can be said that Uchiha Madara's power was the strongest in the entire ninja world at that time, except for the first generation Hokage. Sasuke, Naruto and Sakura were stunned when they heard these stories. They couldn't imagine what kind of power Uchiha Madara had to be as powerful as what Yu Yu said. After Yu Yu finished speaking, he looked at Sasuke and said seriously, "Sasuke, I believe you will be as powerful as Uchiha Madara in the future, and even surpass him. By the way, open your book and see how the Mangekyo Sharingan is recorded." Yu Yu's words directly pulled the three people who were still immersed in the previous words out. Seeing the three people looking at him with resentful eyes, Yu Yu said speechlessly, "Why are you looking at me? It's more important to do business. There will be plenty of opportunities to tell these stories later." Sasuke himself didn't realize that his personality had changed during this period of time with Yu Yu. Not as extreme as before, nor as desperate as before. Although he still wanted revenge, he believed in Yu Yu's words and took it step by step. He looked at Naruto and Sakura sitting on both sides of him, and Yu Yu standing in front of him. He found that he was not alone. He now has too many people who can't let go. Yu Yu himself didn't know that he just didn't want Sasuke to pester him and trouble him, so he took his nonsense seriously. Even his mentality changed. Chapter 109. Sasuke opened the record at the back of the book. Yu Yu, Naruto and Sakura came over and wanted to see what the Mangekyo Sharingan looked like. Seeing Yu Yu and the other two coming over, if it was normal, Sasuke would definitely not like others to get close to him. But now he only felt warmth. A ray of sunshine shot into his heart that had been cold for many years. Yu Yu and the others were completely shocked by the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan in the book. Even though Yu Yu knew how powerful the Mangekyo Sharingan was, he was still shocked by the record after seeing it. "I said, the Mangekyo Sharingan is simply the eyes of God," Yu Yu exclaimed. Sasuke was also shocked. He didn't expect the Mangekyo Sharingan to be so powerful. "Susanoo, it's simply the power of God," Sasuke exclaimed. Even Naruto and Sakura were shocked by the power of the Mangekyo described in the book. Naruto, who was full of confidence before, was stunned at this time. Does this kind of power really exist? Sakura did not speak. Yu answered Naruto's words, it must exist. After all, these records are the secrets of the Uchiha clan. They don't need to brag to the outside world. Besides, even such a powerful creature as the Nine Tails exists, there must be a force to contend with it. And if you can build a village during the chaotic period of the ninja world, if there is no power to suppress others, other families will not join at all. Ninja families in other countries will not allow the establishment of villages. It can only be said that the power of the ancestors is far beyond our imagination, especially the legendary Uchiha Madara and the first generation of Hokage. How powerful are those two people? They can suppress an era and make it breathless. After a long time, closing the book in his hand, Sasuke stood up and said with a firm look, I want to become stronger. Since the Sharingan has such a great development prospect, I believe that with my efforts, I will catch up with the legendary Uchiha Madara. Yu was also very happy to see that Sasuke finally stopped looking at himself. He quickly said, in my opinion, you have the potential to surpass your ancestors. As long as Sasuke stopped staring at him, Yu could flatter him without limit, not to mention that he was not lying, and in the future Sasuke did surpass Uchiha Madara. Sasuke turned around and looked at Yu. Yu, don't fall behind on my way to becoming stronger. Seemingly full of confidence, Sasuke's words became a little arrogant. Yu didn't care, as long as he didn't stare at him all the time. Yu smiled and said, of course. Naruto also clenched his fist and said, I will also work hard to become as strong as the first generation Hokage. Sasuke, don't forget that Uchiha Madara finally lost to the first generation Hokage. But Sasuke was not interested in what Naruto said. Because Yu was there, Sasuke did not regard Naruto as his opponent. Instead, he regarded Yu as his target to catch up with. Yu also encouraged Naruto, saying, Naruto, you have the potential. You have the same physique as the first Hokage, and you also have the power of the Nine Tails. As long as you get the Nine Tails recognition in the future, your chakra will immediately reach the level of the first Hokage. With your physique from the Uzumaki clan, I think it will be no problem to catch up with the first Hokage or even surpass him. Yu patted Naruto's shoulder and said seriously. Naruto was so excited that he wanted to rush out to practice right now. Sakura looked at Naruto and Sasuke, both teammates, who were so motivated and had such ambitious goals, but she was at a loss and a little dazed. Yu noticed Sakura's expression and said, Sakura, your chakra control is very strong. You can practice illusion and medical ninjutsu. And you are very talented in physical skills. You can ask Kakashi teacher about physical skills. I think you will have great development in physical skills. Sakura was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect Yu to notice her. And Yu's words also gave her a goal. That is to practice physical skills, medical ninjutsu and illusion. Yu didn't let Sakura find Kai to practice physical skills. Kai's physical skills are not suitable for Sakura. The physical skills that Sakura needs are the kind of Tsunade. It depends on the precise control of chakra to achieve it, which only Tsunade can teach. Now that Tsunade is not here, Kakashi is more suitable than Kai. Because Kakashi's control of chakra is also very good, and his physical skills are also exquisite physical skills. Sakura agreed with Yu's words and nodded solemnly, yes, I will definitely do it. Yu breathed a sigh of relief. I thought that finally these three people didn't have to focus on me. Then the four of them read all the books they could find in the secret room. After that, they left the secret room. When they left, the mechanism of the secret room was gone. Originally, Sasuke wanted to take these books out, but Yu persuaded him to leave them here, which was more conducive to confidentiality. It would be bad if they were taken out and lost. Sasuke did not refuse. After coming out of the secret room, it was already early in the morning. Several people stayed in the secret room for several hours. After coming out, several people felt as if they were in another world. They knew many secrets of the Uchiha clan and many previous histories of Konoha. Even the history they knew at this time was more than that of many senior ninjas in the village. Watching Sasuke control the stone tablet to slowly close, Yu sighed. This is the foundation of the big family. Sasuke, I think you have to do something very important and more important than revenge for your family now. After returning the stone tablet to its place, Sasuke turned to look at Yu and asked in confusion, is there anything more important than my revenge? Yu patted Sasuke's shoulder and said very seriously, you have to leave blood for your Uchiha clan. Now there are only you and Uchiha left in your Uchiha clan. Think about it, if your revenge is successful, will Uchiha Itachi die? If he dies, you will be the only one left in your Uchiha clan. If you don't leave blood, won't your Uchiha clan be completely exterminated? Sasuke was stunned. He had never thought about this question. When Yu said this, Sakura blushed. Naruto was full of question marks. He didn't understand what Yu meant. Yu, what do you mean? Naruto was very straightforward and asked directly if he didn't understand. But his words made Sasuke blush. Sasuke had never thought about this question, but he knew what Yu meant. No matter how cool he was, he couldn't hold it back at this moment. He slapped Yu's hand away awkwardly. Yu, what are you talking about? Even the cool Sasuke would be shy when encountering these things. Not to mention that he is only 12 years old now. Chapter 110. Seeing Sasuke so embarrassed, Yu was very serious. I'm serious, don't think I'm kidding you. I support you in revenge, but you also have to consider the continuation of your Uchiha clan. Do you want your Uchiha clan to be completely cut off from your generation? Sasuke's face turned red with embarrassment, and he turned his head away and didn't dare to look into Yu's eyes. I'm not that age yet, so I don't need to think about it. Yu said, indeed, but since you don't have any offspring yet, I suggest you not to seek revenge on Uchiha Itachi, because if you lose, your family will most likely be completely wiped out. Do you think that with Uchiha Itachi's character, he can even destroy the entire family, so will he care about the inheritance of the Uchiha clan? So before you challenge Uchiha Itachi, continue the family bloodline first, and then go find Uchiha Itachi. Regardless of whether you win or lose, the Uchiha clan will be passed down. Even if you lose, your children can inherit your will and continue to seek revenge on him in the future. Isn't this much better than you relying on yourself for revenge? Sasuke's mouth twitched slightly. He didn't expect Yu to think so far. What nonsense are you talking about? What about passing on the family line? I'm not that old yet. And I must rely on my own hands to get revenge, not on others. Yu shook his head. Your thinking is wrong. You have to know that not everything can be done. When you have offspring, it means you have left a backup. Your offspring are your backup. And only with offspring can the Uchiha clan be passed on. If your Uchiha clan is completely extinct, what's the point of your revenge? Do you think your parents want this to happen? Your father is the head of the Uchiha clan, and you are his son. Now you are the head of the Uchiha clan. You should consider your clan, not just yourself. If you can't pass on the Uchiha clan, do you think your father will be willing to see this happen? And as the head of the clan, you are also seriously derelict in your duty. Yuyu's conversation made Sasuke's mind confused. No one had ever said these things to him before, and he himself had never thought about these questions. But he knew that Yu was right. His father was the head of the Uchiha clan. His brother slaughtered the entire family, leaving only him. Then didn't he automatically inherit the position of head? Shouldn't he consider the inheritance of the Uchiha clan? Compared with the inheritance of the Uchiha clan, it seems that revenge can be postponed, and its importance is not as important as continuing the bloodline of the clan. He was too stubborn before. He didn't even think about these questions. When he thought about his father bringing him to this shrine and seeing the respectful attitude of those clan members towards him, and the pride of his clan members for the Uchiha clan at the gathering, if he couldn't continue the inheritance of the Uchiha clan, would his parents be disappointed even if he took revenge? When he thought of his father's disappointed eyes, Sasuke was very entangled. Yu Yu was also a little confused. He said this just because he hoped that Sasuke would not be so anxious to do things and not be so extreme in his thinking. The more anxious and extreme he is, the more trouble he will cause in the future. It is obvious that if something happens to Sasuke in the future, Kakashi will ask him to deal with it. In order to prevent such things from happening, Yu Yu can only let Sasuke take revenge later and hone his strength. In this way, he will definitely be able to complete his revenge after he takes revenge, and he will not have to clean up the mess he left behind. If possible, he hopes that Sasuke will not defect, because Yu Yu does not want to bring him back personally. Yu Yu just wants his future life to be more peaceful and stable, without so many troubles. Just seeing Sasuke thinking seriously. He did not expect Sasuke to listen to him at all. He knew that Sasuke's thoughts were very extreme. All these years, his mind was full of revenge. He never thought about other things. I didn't expect Sasuke to actually think about what he said. It's really strange. Yu Yu didn't even think about it. If there was no Yu Yu, who would be around Sasuke according to the original plotline? How could those people say to Sasuke what Yu Yu just said? What does the inheritance of the Uchiha family have to do with them? Even Kakashi would not say those words to Sasuke. After all, Kakashi does value Sasuke more, but the communication between the two not much, actually. It's just that Sasuke is more suitable to learn Kakashi's ninjutsu, so Kakashi taught him, and that's the only intersection. The two of them basically didn't have too deep a topic. Later, Naruto's stimulation made him go to extremes, and no one had a heart-to-heart talk with him. Although what Yu Yu said just now was indeed nonsense. But it did make Sasuke realize that in addition to revenge, he had more important things to do. And most importantly, after this period of time, Yu Yu is a person that Sasuke can trust and a friend who can make deep friends. He feels that although Yu Yu is not a member of their team, Yu Yu has always been sincere about him. In his heart, Yu Yu is a different person from Kakashi, Naruto and Sakura. Naturally, what Yu Yu said has a different weight for him than for others. If Yu Yu knew what Sasuke was thinking, he would definitely be ashamed. He really just said nonsense to prevent Sasuke from bothering him. After a long time, Sasuke raised his head, looked at Yu Yu and said seriously, "Yu Yu, you were right. I was too irrational before. Revenge for my parents and my family is indeed very important, but as the only bloodline left in the Uchiha clan, I really have to ensure that the Uchiha clan can be passed on. Otherwise, even if I kill Uchiha Itachi, it will be meaningless." Yu Yu did not speak for a long time, looking at Sasuke with a very surprised look. But Sasuke thought Yu Yu was very pleased with him. It made him feel that his thoughts were more correct. In fact, Yu Yu was just surprised that Sasuke agreed with him so easily. He wondered if he had Naruto's mouth-to-mouth trick. But these words were all made up on the spur of the moment, and he never thought that Sasuke would accept them. Seeing that Yu Yu didn't speak, Sasuke patted his arm and said seriously, "Thank you, Yu Yu, you let me know how extreme I was before. If it weren't for you, I would have done a lot of things wrong." Yu Yu's mouth twitched slightly, and he said awkwardly, No, I just think you have more important things to do." Sasuke didn't see Yu Yu's embarrassment, and said seriously, "Well, I will definitely do it. Before I pass on the family and have the strength to absolutely defeat him, I will not rashly seek revenge on him." Yu Yu didn't speak, but just smiled awkwardly. Sakura on the side looked at Sasuke's blushing face. She knew what Yu Yu and Sasuke meant by the conversation. She felt that her chance had come. But Naruto still looked confused. He scratched his head anxiously. "What are you talking about? What inheritance or not inheritance? It's really annoying, why don't you speak more clearly? Chapter 111. Yu looked at Naruto and said calmly, you will know it later. It doesn't matter if you don't know it now. Yu naturally wouldn't explain it to Naruto. With Sasuke's personality, he would not do it even more. Sakura was completely immersed in fantasy and didn't care about Naruto. Looking at the moon in the sky, Yu said, it's late, let's stop here today. Sasuke, Naruto and Sakura all nodded. Just when Yu was about to leave, Sasuke called Yu. Yu, Kakashi said that after tomorrow, we can rest for a long time. I wonder if you can accompany me to practice during this time. Right here. Yu was a little embarrassed. Naruto was very interested. Sasuke, I want to practice too, don't think of sneaking away. Now Sasuke no longer regards Naruto as his opponent, but Naruto still regards Sasuke as his competitor. Sasuke didn't refuse. Sasuke has changed a lot at this time. He had never called Kakashi teacher before, but now he has started to call him Kakashi teacher. He is not as cold as before, but he still speaks less. Naturally, he has no objection to Naruto coming together. He also wants to know how powerful the Nine Tails in Naruto's body is, to see if Naruto can master the power of the Nine Tails. Seeing Yu's embarrassment, Sasuke said, come again if you have time. If there is a mission, don't force it. Yu was a little speechless. If there was a mission, he certainly couldn't come. It's just that he did so much before just to hope that Sasuke and Naruto would not bother him. Don't bother him. Now look, why is Sasuke still bothering him? It turns out that all the efforts he made before were in vain. Sakura on the side also said, yes, Yu, if you are not here, we don't know how to practice at all. We believe in you. And with you here, even if Naruto goes berserk, we can control it. Sakura gave another reason. Although Naruto pouted and was unwilling to admit that he would go berserk during training. But he now knows more about the Nine Tails, and Yu has told him a lot. So he knows that if he subconsciously uses the Nine Tails chakra during training, there will be a risk of going berserk. Even if Yu adds a seal, he can't stop Naruto. After all, although Yu's seal is very strong, as long as Naruto takes the initiative to unlock the seal will be opened. Unlike the 4th generation Hokage Minato Namikaze, Yu gave the key to the 8th diagram seal to Naruto. Naruto can choose whether to open it himself. Minato Namikaze gave the key to the seal to the toad of Mount Myoboku. So it is difficult for Naruto to open Minato Namikaze's seal now, but he can easily open the seal left by Yu. The reason why Yu gave the key to the seal to Naruto is to respect his wishes. If he wants the Nine Tails chakra, he can open it himself, of course he will be responsible for the consequences. Yu looked at Sakura and said, don't worry about this. As long as Naruto doesn't take the initiative to open the seal, it's hard for him to go berserk. Unless he forcibly asks the Nine Tails for chakra. If Naruto forcibly asks the Nine Tails for chakra and the Nine Tails is willing to give it, he will still go berserk, because with his current strength, he can't control the Nine Tails chakra. There is another possibility, that is, after Naruto is furious, or uses chakra excessively and consumes his own chakra, his body will passively seize the Nine Tails chakra for self-protection. In this case, Naruto will still go berserk and can't even control the Nine Tails. After all, as the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Naruto has the ability to use part of the Nine Tails chakra. The Nine Tails itself cannot control that part of the chakra. Before Naruto gets the Nine Tails recognition and becomes a perfect Jinchuriki, there will be a part of the chakra between him and the Nine Tails that is not controlled by both parties. When Naruto gets the Nine Tails approval and becomes a perfect Jinchuriki, he can completely control all of his and the Nine Tails chakras. Yu naturally doesn't want to be a sparring partner for several people. He doesn't think there will be any tasks during this period, so he plans to go to the database to look at the ninjutsu and some historical data inside. After hearing Yu's refusal, Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto were a little disappointed. After this period of time, they have long regarded Yu as a very good friend. And getting along with Yu, they really have a different feeling, and feel very good. He is different from other people in the village. The most important thing is to get along with Yu, and you can really learn a lot from him. They naturally hope that Yu can accompany them to practice during this period. It's just Yu himself was unwilling, and they had no choice. Seeing the three people's lost looks, Yu thought for a while and said, "I'll come when I have time, I'm very interested in the Sharingan. I will also help Naruto master the power of the 9 tails." "Sakura, you don't have time to practice with them. You should use this vacation to learn physical skills and illusions with teacher Kakashi. You only master the 3 body skills now, right? Mastering only these ninjutsu doesn't have much lethality in battle." Sakura was stunned for a moment. She looked at Sasuke. Of course, she wanted to practice with Sasuke, but what Yu said was also right. Helplessly, she could only nod her head and say, "Okay, I will go to Kakashi to learn." "And Sasuke, you should also go to Kakashi to learn how to develop the Sharingan. Although you know the method recorded by your family, in practice, you are still far behind Kakashi. And Kakashi has a ninjutsu that is very suitable for you." Sasuke was stunned for a moment. What ninjutsu? Yu did not speak, slowly raised his right hand, and did not even make a seal, just a thought. Countless golden arcs appeared on his right hand. Sizzle tilde la. In an instant, the dark night was illuminated by Yu's ninjutsu as bright as day. This ninjutsu is called Chidori, which is a very lethal ninjutsu developed by Kakashi. It belongs to A level, very difficult, but also very powerful. Yu's Chidori is different from Kakashi's in that he no longer needs to make a seal at this time, and his Chidori will only make the sound of lightning arcs at the moment of activation, and then it will be completely silent. This is very useful for assassination. If Kakashi knew, he would probably be shocked. He knew that Yu's Chidori was very quiet. But he didn't know that Yu didn't need to make a seal to activate Chidori now. Now Yu's Chidori, or all his lightning ninjutsu, or all unsealed ninjutsu. As long as he wants, he can activate it anytime and anywhere. The lightning net in the secret room just now is like this. It was activated with just a thought from Yu. The speed is extremely fast. When seeing the Chidori released by Yu, Sasuke and the other 2 were stunned. They had never seen Yu release Chidori. They could feel the strong danger from the shining golden arcs of Chidori. Although this ninjutsu is not as shocking as the lightning net, they can see that it is not the same ninjutsu as the lightning net. This ninjutsu seems to have a terrifying power that can penetrate everything. Sasuke looked at the Chidori in Yu's hand with more and more excitement. He liked this ninjutsu at first sight. Chapter 112. Naruto looked at the Chidori in Yu's hand and said excitedly, "Yu, this ninjutsu is so cool, teach me, teach me." Yu looked at Naruto, shook his head and said, "Naruto, this ninjutsu is not suitable for you." "What's not suitable? You obviously only want to teach Sasuke, not me," Naruto complained. Yu was a little helpless, but he could only patiently explain, "This ninjutsu needs to rush to the opponent's front and assassinate when attacking. So if the speed is not fast enough, the opponent will interrupt your attack before you attack, or even kill you. It is because the speed of attack is very fast, so if your eyes can't keep up, you can't even see where the opponent is, and the attack position is not accurate, which will cause extremely serious consequences. The reason why I say this ninjutsu is suitable for Sasuke is because Sasuke has Sharingan. In the process of rapid attack, Sasuke's Sharingan can help him determine the opponent's position, and can also quickly movement, and see how the opponent counterattacks." After hearing Yu's explanation, Sasuke, who just thought Chidori was very handsome, nodded and said, "I see, so this ninjutsu is not easy to learn. In addition to my Sharingan, my body also needs to be able to react quickly." Yu Yu smiled and said, yes, this is the key point of this technique. If these 2 points cannot be achieved, then this technique will not only have little lethality, but will even backfire on the person who casts the technique. This is an A-level ninjutsu. It is not only difficult to learn, but also very dangerous. Sasuke and Sakura both nodded. They naturally knew what the concept of A-level ninjutsu was. Sasuke learned ninjutsu when he was young, and he was very clear about the various levels of ninjutsu. Sakura learned it in ninja school. And Naruto on the side was confused. What do you mean faster? You just don't want to teach me. Humph, you have a better relationship with Sasuke, right? Naruto folded his hands, turned his head away, and didn't look at Yu. The corners of Yu's mouth twitched slightly. He said it so clearly, but Naruto didn't understand. Yu could only say, I said so much, just to express one meaning, that is, this ninjutsu is not suitable for you. First, let's talk about whether you can learn it. Even if you learn it, you can't use it well without Sharingan. Do you understand now? Naruto still insisted that Yu deliberately didn't teach him. Seeing that Naruto still had this attitude, he had a headache. After thinking about it, Yu could only smile bitterly and said, how about this, you and Sasuke go to see teacher Kakashi together, and then he will let you know why this ninjutsu is not suitable for you. The only thing Yu could think of that Naruto could understand was that he didn't have lightning chakra. Cut off his idea of learning Chidori directly from the source, and don't bother him anymore. Kakashi will probably teach Naruto a few wind escape ninjutsu to comfort him. Yu thought to himself, Teacher Kakashi, don't blame me. Anyway, you probably have nothing to do during this period. Instead of hiding at home reading a little book, you might as well be a good teacher seriously. At the same time, Kakashi, who had returned home, sneezed twice. Kakashi was very confused. He didn't seem to have a cold, so why did he sneeze? Now Yu can understand why Kakashi is unwilling to teach Naruto and let him go to Ebisu to learn. With Kakashi's personality, he will probably be annoyed by Naruto. Naruto's biggest problem is that he lacks basic knowledge, or in other words, he basically didn't learn it in the ninja school. After all, he always handed in a blank paper for every theoretical exam. So if you want to teach Naruto, you can only use a very stupid method that is only suitable for him. Now Naruto has not shown his advantage yet, and Kakashi will probably be mentally broken by Naruto's questions. Although Ebisu does not have a good impression of Naruto, he is indeed a very professional teacher. Otherwise, the third Hokage would not have handed Konohamaru to Ebisu to teach. And Yu became impatient after being asked 2 or 3 questions. If it were not for the peaceful heart he has cultivated over the years, he would have collapsed in his previous life. It feels like teaching a child to learn, and that mentality is really explosive. Naruto also agreed with Yu's words. Although he was a little unhappy that he could not learn directly from Yu, Kakashi also knew this ninjutsu, and it was the same to learn from Kakashi. Although he felt that Kakashi was definitely not as strong as Yu, Kakashi was also an elite Jonin. After the mission in the Land of Waves, whether it was Naruto, Sasuke, or Sakura, they all agreed that Yu's strength had surpassed Kakashi. Even Kakashi himself thought so. Only Yu still felt that Iwasade's strength can only be regarded as the level of a Jonin. In fact, in Kakashi's eyes, Yu's strength is already at the level of a Hokage. Although Yu seems to lack combat experience, in the battle, Kakashi did not see that Yu lacked combat experience at all. Yu handled every battle as well as a Jonin. In addition to hard power, Yu's comprehensive strength is definitely at the level of a kage, and he is still a strong one among the kages. Even Kakashi felt that Yu did not need much practical experience, his hard power was enough. After Naruto agreed, Yu finally breathed a sigh of relief. Before, he was most afraid of being entangled by Sasuke, because Sasuke was very stubborn, and he rarely gave up once he set his eyes on someone. Who knew that Naruto was even more difficult to deal with? Fortunately, he tricked Naruto to Kakashi. If Kakashi knew what Yu Yu was thinking, he would probably come to Yu Yu to argue. Yu Yu looked at the sky and said, "Okay, it's settled. I'm leaving first. I'm too tired." After saying that, he didn't wait for them to say anything. His figure had disappeared in front of them. He left very quickly, fearing that something unexpected would happen again. Because Naruto and Sakura were afraid to walk on the streets of the Uchiha clan, Sasuke sent them out of the clan land of the Uchiha clan before returning. Now Sasuke is not as cold as before. Although he still doesn't talk much, he knows how to care about other people's feelings. When Yu Yu returned home, he washed up and rested. He plans to go to the data room to take a look at Konoha's ninjutsu tomorrow. Although he has mastered many powerful ninjutsu, Yu Yu is still very much looking forward to it when he thinks that all the ninjutsu of Konoha is stored in the database. Whether it is Flying Thunder God, or various powerful sealing techniques, and various forbidden techniques, Yu Yu wants to see them all. What Yu Yu doesn't know is that the news that the third generation promoted him to Chunin has spread to all the major families and forces in Konoha village. What is hard for all the major families and forces to imagine is not that Yu Yu became a Chunin at the age of 12. There are not many people who became Chunin at a younger age than Yu Yu in the history of Konoha, but there are not few either. Kakashi is one of them. Kakashi even graduated from the ninja school at the age of 5 and became Chunin at the age of 6. Uchiha Itachi also graduated at the age of 9 and became Chunin at the age of 10. Such people are not very rare in the history of Konoha. But the strange thing is that Yu Yu just graduated from the ninja school, and what is even more strange is that he has just completed 2D level tasks and 1C level task. With his task volume, he is not qualified to become a Chunin anyway. But the third generation actually promoted him to Chunin, and what they couldn't understand was that Yu Yu's grades in the ninja school were very average and at a medium level. How could such a person be promoted to Chunin by the third generation himself? For a time, Yu Yu became the topic of all the major families and forces in Konoha. Chapter 113. Konoha, the headquarters of the root. Danzo leaned on a cane and listened to his subordinates' reports. After listening, Danzo frowned. What on earth is Hiruzen doing? Why did he suddenly promote a child? There is nothing special about this child. Danzo, I find it strange that Kakashi took that child with him when he went out of the village to perform the mission this time. Hearing this, Danzo suddenly thought of something. Is Hiruzen trying to train a fourth generation? Danzo was very dissatisfied with Sarutobi Hiruzen passing the position of Hokage to Namikaze Minato. In Danzo's view, no one in Konoha is qualified to be Hokage except him. Danzo was immediately alert when he thought of the fourth generation Hokage. Who is that kid? From the information, there's nothing special about him. But why did he let Kakashi take that kid out on a mission? Hiruzen must know that kid is extraordinary, right? Danzo guessed. The third Hokage's move is very similar to the method used to train the fourth Hokage. Yohane's mentor, Jonin, is Kimoto Doji, but he actually went out on a mission with Kakashi, and he was promoted to Chunin as soon as he came back from the mission. He didn't even explain it to the top management. Although he does have the power, with Sarutobi Hiruzen's personality, he must have explained it. After all, Yohana's mission volume is far from enough to be promoted to Chunin. But until now, Sarutobi Hiruzen hasn't even said hello to them. If Yohana's mission volume has not been reached, then it must be that Yohana's strength is very outstanding, even beyond the strength of Chunin, so that the third Hokage will be so decisive to let him become Chunin. Only if he has enough strength can the third generation have the confidence to not fear any doubts. But Yu Yu's previous performance in the ninja school was very average. It is an extremely ordinary level. Connecting these doubts, Danzo instantly thought of a terrible possibility. That is, the third generation deliberately let Yu Yu not show his true strength during the ninja school period. In fact, Yu Yu's strength is very strong, and it is even possible that his current strength is far beyond the level of Chunin. Because Yuyu's mission volume is not enough to be promoted to Chunin in any case. It is absolutely not enough to just reach Chunin in strength, so there is only one possibility, that is, Yuyu's strength may have reached the level of Jonin. Don't look at the fact that during the Fourth Ninja World War, Jonin could not intervene in the battle with Uchiha Madara. But in fact, even in the 5 major ninja villages, the number of Jonin is very small. It can be said that Jonin in the 5 major ninja villages is the top combat power. Yuyu is only 12 years old, and he has the strength of a Jonin at the age of 12. He is also innocent and has no family support behind him. Such a person reminds Danzo of Minato Namikaze. He does not believe that the 3rd generation will promote Yuyu to Chunin for no reason, and he is so arbitrary. Moreover, the 3rd generation's move has already shown that he has conveyed to the outside world that Yuyu is on his side. What is there about Yuyu that is worth him winning over? Only Yuyu's strong strength makes him do things that are completely inconsistent with his character. Thinking of this, Danzo's eyes revealed a dangerous look. Holding the cane in his hand, he said coldly, "Hiruzen, forget about the 4th generation, I will never let you train another Minato Namikaze. Yamanaka Fung, go and bring that kid here, I want to see what that kid is capable of." Yamanaka Fung is one of Danzo's 2 guards. A member of the Yamanaka clan, his strength is that of a Jonin. Yamanaka Fung nodded without hesitation and disappeared into the roots. Meanwhile, in the Yamanaka clan, Yamanaka Inoichi, the head of the Yamanaka clan and Ino's father. He stood in his room, and behind him sat Nara Shikaku and Akamichi Choza. These 3 were the older generation of the pig, deer and butterfly combination. The 3 gathered here because of the actions of the 3rd generation. Yuyu didn't take the promotion to Chunin seriously. But he didn't know what kind of waves his becoming a Chunin would cause in the various families of Konoha. Now is a peaceful time, and Yuyu is still a civilian ninja without any background, and the amount of tasks is far from enough to be promoted to Chunin. In this situation, the actions of the 3rd generation are very intriguing. The weirdest thing is that the 3rd generation did not explain to them. The pig, deer and butterfly combination is from the 3rd generation, and they noticed the specialness of Yuyu. Especially after checking Yuyu's information, it was weird no matter how you look at it. What is the purpose of the 3rd generation's action? Does he really want to train that kid? Yamanaka Hayi turned around looking at Nara Shikaku and Akamichi Choza. Nara Shikaku said seriously, "Today, Shikamaru and I asked about the information of that kid. I have to say that it is not surprising that the 3rd generation wants to train that child." Yamanaka Inoichi was stunned for a moment and looked at Nara Shikaku. "Oh. What did Shikamaru say?" Nara Shikaku told him everything that Shikamaru told him today. Basically, it was Shikamaru's impression of Yuyu during his 6 years in the ninja school, and Yuyu's performance in the graduation examination. Yuyu had eaten with them before, and Yamada Muki and Benyi Tianzi revealed some information about Yuyu. Although it was incomplete, Nara Shikaku could sense that Yuyu was extraordinary. After listening to it, Akamichi Choza and Yamanaka Inoichi found it hard to believe, how could a disciple of Mumoto Yidung withstand the murderous suppression of that guy? It seems that the boy does have some ability, but he didn't show it in the ninja school. This mentality is a bit scary. Yamanaka Inoichi couldn't believe that Yuyu would be so scheming. In his opinion, Yuyu must have deliberately concealed his strength during the years in the ninja school. At such a young age, he was able to resist showing off. This kind of psychological quality shocked him. But he didn't know that it was actually because Yuyu's strength was average during the 6 years in the ninja school. In addition to mastering theoretical knowledge very well, he was only average in other assessments. Akamichi Choza frowned and said, "It seems that the child is stronger than we know, otherwise the 3rd generation would never do that. It is impossible for the 3rd generation to make such a decision with only the strength of a Chunin. I dare say that the child's strength has at least reached the strength of a Jonin." And his real teacher should be Kakashi, not Kimoto Doji. Kakashi is willing to take him, which means that Kakashi is also optimistic about him. Such a person reminds me of the fourth generation. Akamichi Choza had performed many missions with Namikaze Minato before. He knew the fourth generation very well. Yu Yu's background and experience are too similar to the fourth generation. The attitude of the third generation also shows that the third generation wants to train Yu Yu like he trained Minato Namikaze. Promoting Yu Yu to Chunin and letting him participate in Konoha's affairs is the first step. Because it is a peaceful time now, there are not so many opportunities to make military achievements. The third generation wants to push Yu Yu to the position of Hokage, only from the perspective of strength and mission. If you want to perform difficult tasks, you first need to improve the level of ninja. Chapter 114. Akamichi Choza's words made Yamanaka Kaiichi and Nara Shikaku agree. Yu Yu's background is too similar to Namikaze Minato's. But what surprised them was that the third Hokage actually planned to train Yu Yu. They originally thought that even if the third Hokage retired when he was old, Kakashi and others should take over. But now the third Hokage's attitude has shown that the person he wants to train is Yu Yu. Let Kakashi be Yu Yu's teacher, which has already given Yu Yu a great help. Kakashi has a great reputation among the ninjas of his generation. Among the ninjas of his generation, Kakashi has a strong appeal. As long as Kakashi supports Yu Yu, it means that Yu Yu has the support of Kakashi's generation. However, the three did not know that Kakashi wanted to be Yu Yu's teacher. After the third Hokage knew it, he just didn't object. And one thing the three guessed was correct. That is, if Kakashi chooses to support Yu Yu, Yu Yu will indeed get the support of Kakashi's generation. Kakashi has a high reputation among the ninjas of his generation. There are even many ninjas who have a good relationship with Kakashi. Whether it is Asuma or Kai, they have a good relationship with Kakashi. Both of them recognize Kakashi. If Kakashi supports Yu Yu, these two people will most likely support him. Nara Shikaku looked at Yamanaka Inoichi, then what should we do? After all, the third generation has clearly stated his attitude. The three of them are from the same line of Hokage, so they must also express their attitudes, or at least do something. Yamanaka Inoichi frowned. He looked at Akamichi Choza. Akamichi Choza waved his hand. Don't look at me. I'm not good at thinking. You two can decide. Yamanaka Inoichi thought for a while and said, let's not do anything for now. We have to know how strong he is first. Nara Shikaku also nodded. I agree. It's just the beginning. We have plenty of time. The three of them finally decided not to contact Yu Yu. The three of them represent three families and will definitely not express their opinions casually. But the three of them have already set their sights on Yu Yu. At the same time, the Hyuga family, the Aburame family, the Inuzuka family, and other families that were once classmates of Yu Yu all asked the classmates in the family who went to the ninja school with Yu Yu, asking them about their impressions of Yu Yu. But the answers they got disappointed them. Because they didn't even know that there was a person named Yu Yu in their class. This is very embarrassing. Yu Yu's file is in the Hokage's office again, and they can't retrieve it. Except for Konoha high-ranking officials like Danzo, it is difficult for the patriarchs of other families to view Yu Yu's files. When asking Yu Yu's former classmates in the family, they also know nothing, and even outrageously, they don't know who Yu Yu is. But this adds to Yu Yu's mysterious color. Yu Yu can be so transparent in the ninja school, which can only mean that Yu Yu is intentional. Otherwise it is absolutely impossible. They never thought that Yu Yu really didn't mean it before, but just didn't want to show it or he didn't have the strength to show it. Tonight, many families in Konoha couldn't sleep. What Yu Yu thought was very ordinary, in their opinion, was a major event that was enough to involve the rise and fall of the family. Especially after the Uchiha clan was exterminated, the families in Konoha village were a little afraid of the Konoha high-ranking officials. Although they were not sure whether the 3 generations of the Uchiha clan had contributed to the extermination of the Uchiha clan. But they were unwilling to believe that Uchiha Itachi alone could slaughter the clan without anyone noticing. But they only dared to keep their doubts in their hearts. They certainly didn't dare to ask the 3rd generation for clarification. And now, the 3rd generation has conveyed such an obvious signal. There is a high probability that Yu will be the next Hokage, just like the 3rd generation chose Minato Namikaze as the Hokage. How could they not care? No one wants to follow the footsteps of the Uchiha clan. Before Yu becomes the Hokage, it would be better to have a good relationship with him. At least the next Hokage should have no opinion on them. The reason why all the major families are so sure that the 3rd generation wants to cultivate Yu to the position is because Yu is too similar to Minato Namikaze back then. When Minato Namikaze was the Hokage, he was also very young. The 3rd generation chose him as the Hokage when he was only 20 years old. Although it was a special period at that time, Minato Namikaze made great achievements during the 3rd Ninja World War. But there has never been a precedent of becoming a Hokage at the age of 20 before. Now the 3rd generation is sending such a clear signal to the outside world, clearly intending to train Yu. Yu's background and the 3rd generation's unusual promotion are all related to Namikaze. They look too much like Minato. On the other side, Yu went to sleep after returning from the Uchiha clan. He had no idea that all the families in Konoha were discussing his affairs at this time. But Yu didn't know, and soon someone let him know. Just when Yu was sleeping soundly, he suddenly jumped up from the bed. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in the room, Yu asked coldly, "Are you looking for me, sir? It's so rude to break into my house." And the person who appeared in Yu's room was Shan Zongfang, who was sent by Danzo to take Yu away. But Yu's behavior surprised Shan Zongfang. He had just arrived, and Yu actually found him. Shan Zongfang looked at Yu and said coldly, "Sure enough, kid, I'll take you to an interesting place." Looking at Shan Zongfang, Yu frowned, "Are you from the Anbu?" The reason why Yu made such a judgment was because he sensed a dark aura from Shan Zongfang. This kind of aura is not found in ordinary ninjas. Shan Zongfang was stunned for a moment. Even the Anbu knows about it. It seems that Kimoto Ichido has told you a lot of things. Yan Zongfang has read Yu's information, so he naturally knows that Yu's mentor is actually Kimoto Ichido. And Kimoto Ichido is from the Anbu, and Shan Zongfang also knows it. The two have even worked together before. Although Yu doesn't know who sent Shan Zongfang, he already suspects that the man in front of him was sent by Danzo. Because if the 3rd generation calls him, he can just go to the door. And based on his understanding of the 3rd generation, the 3rd generation will not let a person from the Anbu call him. This is Danzo's style. Yu jumped off the bed, stood in front of Shan Zongfang, and looked at Shan Zongfang calmly. "It's not the 3rd generation who asked you to come, it seems that it was someone else." Yu is not afraid at all. He is very calm in his heart. Even if Danzo calls him, he is not afraid at all, with his current strength. Although he is not sure of defeating Danzo, he is sure of escaping. If Danzo knew that Yu thought so highly of him, he would definitely be very satisfied. Although Danzo definitely has the strength of a cage, he has not been in actual combat for many years, so his strength is not strong among cages. At this time, Yu's strength is considered very strong among cages. So many people are afraid of Danzo, but Yu is not. He just thinks Danzo is annoying. Originally, he thought he would not encounter the imagined situation, where Danzo asked someone to take him away. Who knew that he still couldn't escape? Chapter 115. Yu looked at Shan Zongfang without any fear, smiling. "It seems that it is not the Hokage who asked me to go. If I go to verify it now, the people behind you should be in trouble, right?" Yan Zongfang frowned. He did not expect that Yu was not scared by him, but also wanted to tease him. It was just a tease. He did not see any fear in Yu. Little ghost, don't make it difficult for me. You'd better be honest, otherwise I can't guarantee that you can be taken away intact by me. Yu smiled and shook his head. You are so arrogant. You think you are absolutely sure to take me away, right? In Konoha, it was the first time that Shan Zongfang met such a ninja who didn't give him face. You should know that his status in the route is not low. He is one of Danzo's right-hand men. Seeing Yu's attitude, he didn't want to waste any more words. Since you don't want to follow me honestly, then I can only use force. After saying that, Shan Zongfang immediately made seals with both hands. Ninjutsu, heart transformation tilde. Yu disappeared before Yamanaka Feng finished his seal. The next moment, a kunai appeared on his neck. The cold kunai made him sober instantly. Heart transformation technique, from the Yamanaka clan. Yu's calm voice came from behind. Yanaka Feng was stunned. This guy is so fast that I didn't even react. You know, the reason why Yamanaka Feng was regarded as a confidant by Danzo was because he had the strength of a Jonin. But Yu's movement just now, even he didn't react, let alone seeing it, he didn't even know when Yu appeared behind him. With this terrifying speed, Yamanaka Feng almost thought Yu knew the space-time ninjutsu. The cold kunai on his neck reminded him that Yu's strength had definitely surpassed him. Danzo's guess was right, this kid's strength has reached Jonin. Yanaka Feng didn't say anything, and Yu didn't bother to talk nonsense with him. Just a slight concentration of his eyes, his kunai instantly showed several golden arcs. Swish tilde. When Shan Zongfang was thinking about how to get out of this situation, he suddenly felt numb all over. The next moment, his brain lost all consciousness. Yu looked at Shan Zongfang who fell in front of him. He shook his head and said lazily, it's really getting more and more troublesome. Danzo actually targeted me. It's so annoying. After that, Yu disappeared in his room. After a while, Yu, Kakashi and Mubentangi appeared in Yu's room. In just less than 10 minutes, Yu notified Mubentangi and Kakashi that Yu's speed was now extremely fast. In terms of speed, he has even surpassed the 4th generation Reikage, who is now the fastest in the ninja world. But he himself didn't realize it. Kakashi and Mubentangi noticed it. The two didn't pay much attention to Shan Zongfang. As soon as they saw Shan Zongfang, they knew who sent him. The two were even more surprised at Yu's current speed. They all saw that Yu's speed was not inferior to that of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze. Flying Thunder God technique is a space ninjutsu, but it can only move the caster to the front of the technique marked in advance. At the moment of launching an attack, everyone's reaction speed is different, which also determines the lethality of Flying Thunder God technique. In addition to Flying Thunder God technique, Minato Namikaze's strength is that when he teleports to the enemy, he can launch an attack before the enemy, and his reaction speed is far superior to the enemy. This is why he can kill all sides with Flying Thunder God technique. During the 4th Ninja World War, Senju Tobarama was instantly caught by Uchiha Madara when he used Flying Thunder God technique. It is because although Senju Tobarama's Flying Thunder God technique can allow him to move instantly, his reaction speed is not as good as Uchiha Madara, so when he attacked Uchiha Madara, he was taken down by Uchiha Madara in advance. And Yu's reaction speed is undoubtedly very terrible. Because Yu does not know the Flying Thunder God technique, his movement is completely a lightning flash body, similar to the 4th generation of Reikage, and there is no Flying Thunder God technique to mark the position to move. Therefore, when Yu moves, he needs to always grasp the position of the movement, which requires Yu to have extremely high reaction ability and control over his body and chakra. Yu did not know that Kakashi and Kimoto Tangi already knew the identity of Yamanaka Feng. Because Yamanaka Feng was wearing an Anbu mask at this time. So Yu did not recognize him. But Kakashi and Kimoto Tangi had already recognized him. Seeing that Kakashi and Kimoto Tangi did not speak, Yu asked first, 2 teachers, this person should be from the Anbu, right? But I don't think he was sent by the Hokage, it should be sent by a high-ranking official in Konoha. Kakashi and Kimoto looked up at Yu and said, "You guessed right. This person is indeed from the Anbu, but he is definitely not sent by the third generation. It seems that you are being targeted by him. It should be because the third generation promoted you to Chunin today that he targeted you." Yu sat on the bed, looking at Shan Zongfeng on the ground, and said, "It seems that it is really a high-ranking official." When saying this, Yu said it very calmly, as if he was not aware of his current situation. But Kakashi and Kimoto are no longer surprised. Yu's strength will surprise them every moment. But Yu's personality has never changed. He has always been like that, as if there is no danger in front of him that is worth his fear. Kakashi squatted down and took off Shan Zongfeng's mask, and said to Yu, "He is a ninja of the root, and the root is a branch of the Anbu. But the root is not controlled by the Hokage. It is a special unit in the Anbu. They obey an elder named Danzo." When Yu saw Yamanaka Feng, he knew who sent him without Kakashi's explanation. He still had some memories of Yamanaka Feng. It was really that his image was too unforgettable. Yu smiled and said, "Does it need to be so fussy? I am a small Chunin, but the village leaders actually sent people to find me." But I was even more surprised that Konoha actually had a unit independent of the Hokage. Miyamoto Yidong walked to Yu, sat next to him and explained to him, "This is a power struggle. If you want to be a Hokage, you need to handle the interests of all parties. The village is not a one-man show for the Hokage." Yu nodded. But he didn't care, because he had known it for a long time. He thought that the third generation was too kind, or weak, which made Danzo so arrogant. The Anbu was enough to deal with the dirty things, why set up a root? The Anbu was originally used to do dirty work, and the existence of the root only wastes funds. But Yu didn't want to talk about this kind of thing. After all, he didn't want to get involved in the power struggle among the village's top leaders. Kimoto Tangi quickly told Yu about the struggle between the third generation and Danzo. Kimoto Tangi said a lot of things that Yu didn't know. Yu was a little speechless, looking at Kimoto Tangi and said, "Teacher Tangi, if the Hokage knew that you said this to him, I'm afraid he would be unhappy." Of course, Yu also knew that Kimoto told him these secrets so that he could see the true face of the third Hokage and Danzo. Kimoto would not tell anyone else. But Yu treated him differently. He could tell him everything he knew, even if it was the village's secret. And Kakashi on the side had no intention of stopping him. Because if Kimoto didn't say it, he would say it himself. Chapter 116. What Yu said was just a joke. Muban Tangi knew it naturally, but he still patted his head. "You stinky boy, you dare to tell on me, right?" Yu covered his head awkwardly and said, "How dare I?" Muban Tangi pretended to be serious, "What do you mean?" Yu's mouth twitched slightly, "Teacher Tangi, I lost, okay. I was just rude just now." Muban Tangi smiled. Seeing the master and apprentice get along like this, Kakashi's mouth slightly raised. This is what he hopes to see most. If Yu alienated Muban Tangi after having him as a teacher, he would definitely not like Yu like this. As it turned out, Yu did not disappoint him. In order to change the subject, Yu looked at Shan Zongfeng and said, "What should we do now? How should we deal with him?" Kakashi and Muban Tangi looked at each other. Muban Tangi stood up, patted Yu on the shoulder and said, "Leave it to us as teachers to deal with it. You can rest assured and don't worry about these things." Yu wanted to say something. Kakashi also echoed Muban Tangi's words. "Listen to Tangi, you don't have to worry about these things. You shouldn't be involved in these things now. We will handle it." Seeing that the two insisted so much, Yu didn't say anything else. Muban Tangi walked in front of Shan Zongfeng and smiled, "You really treat Yu as a kid. He is much better than you now." Muban Tangi said proudly to himself. Kakashi on the side rolled his eyes at him, "Okay, stop being proud, take him away quickly. Muban Tongyi didn't say anything else and carried Shan Zongfeng up. When leaving, Muban Tongyi looked at Yu and smiled, have a good rest. By the way, you have to go to Hedianzi and Shumu to explain what happened these days. Yu nodded. Yu and them had only performed 2 missions together, and the time they spent together was too short. In fact, there was not much affection. However, Yu liked Yamada Shumu and Benyi Tianzi very much. Both of them have good personalities. In fact, compared to Naruto and Sasuke who need to be coaxed all the time, Yu still likes Shumu and Tianzi more. Kakashi just nodded to Yu, and disappeared into Yu's room with Muban Tongyi. Yu looked at the empty room and shook his head. Danzo, I thought I could avoid it, it seems that I still overestimated you. Yu thought Danzo would not be so idle, who knew that he actually made Yu miscalculate. Muban Tongyi and Kakashi came out of Yu and quickly came to the headquarters of the route carrying Yamanaka Feng. Danzo, who was sitting in the route headquarters waiting for news about Yamanaka case, had a bad feeling. He had been gloomy when he heard footsteps in the distance. Danzo looked ahead, and the footsteps were getting closer. Danzo's eyes were slightly fixed, and he was actually a little nervous. Finally, the owner of the footsteps appeared under the light. But Danzo stood up with a gloomy face. He was leaning on a cane, and his face was extremely ugly. The 2 people who appeared were Kimoto Ichi and Kakashi, and Kimoto Ichi was carrying Yamanaka Kase who had not yet woken up. Danzo suppressed his anger and watched Kakashi and Kimoto Ichi carrying Yamanaka Kase to him. Several of Danzo's men appeared in front of Danzo, with swords drawn, and looked at the 2 people walking towards them vigilantly. But these root ninjas were sweating under their masks. As ninjas of the same Anbu, how could they not know how powerful the 2 people in front of them were? And they were 2 people who used to hold very high positions in the Anbu. One was the head of the Anbu combat unit, and the other was the head of one of the branches of the interrogation department. One elite Jonin, one Jonin, and they were just a few Chunins. Even the elite Jonin, Aburame Tone, who stood in front of Danzo, was under great pressure. He was sure to defeat Kimoto Ichi, but he was not sure about Kakashi. Kakashi was the strongest among the Jonin in Konoha now. At least on the surface, he was the strongest. In fact, there were not many people in Konoha today who were stronger than him. The most important thing was that Yamanaka Fu, who was carried by Kimoto Ichi, was also a Jonin. But he was defeated. He knew very well how strong Yamanaka Fu was, but he was still defeated. Aburame Tone was under great pressure. Seeing how much pressure Kakashi and Kimoto Ichi put on their subordinates, Danzo became even angrier. He said gloomily, all of you retreat. He didn't want them to continue to embarrass themselves here. Unless Kakashi and Kimoto both wanted to betray Konoha, they would not dare to attack him, a high-ranking Konoha leader. Although the root ninjas were reluctant, they no longer hesitated when they saw Danzo's gloomy face. They immediately disappeared in front of Danzo. Aburame Tone did not leave. Danzo did not care. Aburame Tone was strong enough. Although she might not be Kakashi's opponent, she would not be much worse. Moreover, Aburame Tone was his confidant and her status in the gen was different from other ninjas. When Kakashi and Kimoto Tone walked in front of Danzo, Kimoto Tone put down Yamanaka Wind. Danzo gritted his teeth gloomily. Kakashi, Kimoto Tone, do you want to rebel? You actually attacked the ninjas from the same village. Kakashi was very serious in front of Danzo. He had been Danzo's subordinate for a period of time. But he was soon taken away by the 3rd generation. Facing Danzo's preemptive strike, Kakashi and Kimoto Tone were not nervous. Kakashi looked at Danzo seriously and said, we don't want to rebel, but I don't know what Danzo wants to do by attacking people from the same village. Kakashi was not afraid of Danzo at all. Danzo couldn't control him, and the 3rd Hokage wouldn't do anything to Kakashi because of Danzo. Danzo gritted his teeth, extremely angry. He was a high-ranking official in Konoha, and although Kakashi was once the captain of the Anbu, his status was not as high as his. But Danzo really had no way to deal with Kakashi. The third Hokage thought highly of Kakashi, and Kakashi's appeal to the younger generation of Konoha was much stronger than his. The only thing that Danzo could do to suppress Kakashi was his status. But if Kakashi really didn't care, Danzo really had no way to deal with him. Danzo gritted his teeth, suppressed his anger, and said in a gloomy tone, "I just want to know what kind of people the third Hokage promoted regardless of the rules. As the Hokage's advisor, shouldn't I do this?" Kakashi sneered, "Danzo-sama, I think you should have some expectations in your mind about what kind of means your subordinates will use." Kakashi. Danzo was angry and shouted at Kakashi. "Pay attention to your identity, do you know who you are talking to? Didn't Hiruzen teach you etiquette?" Aburame Tone frowned on the side, ready to launch ninjutsu against Kakashi. His face had turned purple, covered with poisonous insects that were invisible to the naked eye. But Kakashi didn't care. Kimoto Tangi was also ready to take action. Although Danzo wanted to kill Kakashi as soon as possible at this time. But he knew very well that Kakashi was different from ordinary ninjas, and killing him would have a huge impact. Danzo was certainly confident that he could kill Kakashi. The Sharingan on his arm and Uchiha Shisui's Sharingan gave him enough confidence to kill Kakashi. Chapter 117. Kakashi looked at Danzo and smiled calmly. "You don't have to worry about my etiquette, but please remember, Danzo, Yu is my disciple. If you want to do something irrational to him, I will never ignore it." After Kakashi finished speaking, he turned around and left with Kimoto Tangi. Now, he didn't want to anger Danzo. After all, Danzo is the Hokage's advisor. He can't go too far. Danzo watched the backs of Kakashi and Kimoto Tangi slowly disappear in the headquarters of the route. His face was very gloomy. Damn Kakashi, he dared to be so rampant. For a little kid, stupid guy. Danzo was very angry. Looking at the still unconscious Yamanaka Fung, Danzo took a deep breath. Suppress the anger in his heart. Although he wanted to kill Kakashi to vent his anger. But it was just a thought. Although Kakashi's position was not as high as his, if he dared to do this, the third generation would not be able to save him. Kakashi's goal is too big, killing him is tantamount to betraying the village. Kakashi is not from the Uchiha clan, and the top leaders of Konoha will not agree with him. You actually went to such a length for that brat, which shows that the brat is really strong, and Hiruzen really intends to train him as his successor. Damn it, Hiruzen, that bastard, he is unwilling to give up the position of Hokage to me even if he chooses a brat. Damn it, damn Hiruzen, you will regret it sooner or later. After Danzo vented his anger, he asked Aburame Togen to wake up Yamanaka Fu. Now Danzo has confirmed that the third generation must want to train Yu to be the Hokage. What makes him very angry is that the third generation actually chose Yu, a 12-year-old child, instead of him. Now the third generation is very old, and it is indeed time for him to retire. Before, Danzo was still very calm, because he found that after the third generation retired, the only person who could be chosen was him. Unfortunately, he had never thought about it, and he was not younger than the third generation. The third generation did need Danzo to do some dirty work for him, but he knew Danzo very well, and he would never let Danzo be the Hokage. Before, he thought that when the third generation was old and had no choice, he could take the position. If the third generation was unwilling to pass the position of Hokage to him, he would use the root to launch a coup. The root was completely loyal to him. Even the third generation could not be mobilized. But now the appearance of Yu reminded Danzo of how the third generation handed the position of Hokage to Minato Namikaze more than a decade ago. He would never allow Yu to become the next Minato Namikaze. Aburame tried many ways to wake up Yamanaka Fu, and couldn't get a few medical ninjas to come and wake up Yamanaka Fu. Danzo stood aside and watched quietly. With a gloomy look, He felt that Yu Yu's threat was too great. After a long time, Yamanaka Fu finally woke up. Looking at Shan Zongfang, Danzo asked coldly, "What happened? Did Kakashi make you like this?" Yan Zongfang looked around blankly. After finding that it was the headquarters of the route, he stood up hurriedly. "Danzo-sama." Danzo asked again, "How did you become like this? Who did it?" Yan Zongfang's mind appeared the figure of Yu Yu, and the cold kunai on his neck at the end. Shan Zongfang lowered his head and said in a trembling voice, "Yes, it was that Yu Yu kid." Danzo was stunned. Aburame Togen was also stunned. For a long time, Danzo looked at Shan Zongfang with an unbelievable face. Are you okay?" Yan Zongfang knew that Danzo didn't believe it, and at first he didn't believe that Yu Yu could make him like this. He could only explain, "Danzo-sama, Yu Yu, that kid is very strong. I didn't even have the chance to release ninjutsu, and I was knocked down by him." Danzo looked at Shan Zongfang for a long time. Shan Zongfang lowered his head in embarrassment. He felt ashamed that he was defeated by a child, and he had no power to fight back. The veins on Danzo's hands holding the cane were bulging. He was scared. He knew Shan Zongfang's strength very well. Even if he was not an elite Jonin, he was definitely at the level of a Jonin. In addition to the secret techniques of the Yamanaka clan, anyone who didn't know the characteristics of his secret techniques would basically be killed at the first sight. But Shan Zongfang said that he didn't even have the chance to cast a spell. What does this mean? This means that Yu Yu's strength is far above Shan Zongfang. Strength is far above Jonin. What does this mean? When Danzo thought of this, his whole body froze. This kid, what kind of monster is this kid? How is this possible? Danzo still didn't want to believe it. He could accept that Yu Yu's strength was at the level of a Jonin, rather than surpassing the level of a Jonin. With Shan Zongfang in terms of strength, Kakashi definitely cannot kill him instantly. And if he cannot kill him instantly, it is easy for him to be hit by his secret technique. How can someone who can be regarded as Danzo's right-hand man be a weak person? Just now he thought that Yamanaka Fung was knocked out by Kakashi and Kimoto Ichi. According to his understanding of Kakashi and Kimoto Ichi, they can still defeat Yamanaka Fung with their strength. But now Yamanaka Fung actually told him that it was Yu Yu who knocked him out. And the scary thing is that he was knocked out before he could even release a ninjutsu. Yamanaka Fung looked embarrassed. "Danzo, I have embarrassed General." Danzo did not answer for a long time. After Danzo digested the news, he looked at Yamanaka Fung. "Are you sure it was really done by that kid Yu Yu? Not Kakashi?" Yamanaka Fung shook his head. "I didn't see Kakashi." Danzo confirmed it, although he did not want this result. Danzo looked very ugly. No wonder Hiruzen was so abnormal. It turned out that he really found someone who could rival Minato Namikaze. No wonder. Damn, what kind of luck do I have? Danzo was furious. Minato Namikaze was finally killed by the Nine Tails. He originally thought that he had a chance to take over the third generation. But now that Yu Yu appeared, he couldn't stand it. If Yu Yu only had a little talent and had the strength of a Jonin at the age of 12, although he was a genius, he had seen it before. But he had never seen someone who reached the level of Kage at the age of 12. Even the first generation of Hokage was not so amazing. Even the person he hated the most, Minato Namikaze, was not so outrageous. Minato Namikaze, who was 12 years old, definitely did not have the strength of a Jonin. But Yu Yu was not only a Jonin. Danzo suspected that Yu Yu was very likely to have the strength of a Kage. This is terrible. Since that guy may have the strength of a Hokage, I can understand why Hiruzen is so abnormal and why Kakashi and others protect him so much. Damn it, if he really has the strength of a Hokage, how can I stop him? Yu Yu's background is innocent. Now he is the third generation, and Kakashi knows Yu Yu's talent. Looking at Kakashi's appearance today, it is obvious that he wants to protect Yu Yu. It will be very difficult for him to attack Yu Yu. Moreover, Yu Yu's strength is too strong, and no one under his command has the strength to assassinate Yu Yu. Danzo was very angry. Because he found that he could only watch the third generation train Yu Yu, but he was powerless. He seemed to see the scene of Yu Yu standing on the top floor of the Hokage building and handing the Hokage's bamboo hat to Yu Yu, just like the scene when the third generation handed the Hokage's bamboo hat to Minato Namikaze. Chapter 118. At the same time, in the clan territory of the Sarutobi clan, a ninja from the Anbu knelt on one knee in front of the third generation. He told the third generation that Danzo had sent someone to invite Yu Yu. This person was the third generation's spy in the route. This was not a strange thing. Whether it was the route or the Anbu, there were spies in the other camp. After listening, the third generation did not speak. He smoked a cigarette and thought about the information revealed. Because this spy was not Danzo's confidant, he did not know the details of the matter. After a long time, the third generation looked at the ninja in front of him and said, "I know, you go back first." When the ninja disappeared in front of him, the third generation smiled and said, "It seems that Kakashi did not exaggerate at all." Danzo was so angry. It seems that it was not Kakashi who knocked out Yamanaka Fung, but Yu Yu. It seems that I made the right choice, and it is even much stronger than I thought. He believed what Kakashi said before, but he did not confirm whether Yu Yu was really as strong as Kakashi said. What happened tonight proved that Yu Yu was much stronger than he thought. No wonder even Kuroki Raiga died in his hands. Yu Yu's strength is probably far beyond the level of elite Jonin, and even reached the level of Hokage. He's only 12 years old, not bad. Not bad. Since he has decided to make Yu Yu his successor, the third generation will not be afraid that Yu Yu is too strong and threatens him. Instead, he is afraid that Yu Yu is not strong enough and cannot convince the people of the village. The next day, Yu Yu woke up and felt relaxed. As if nothing happened last night. After getting ready, Yu Yu came to Benyi Tianzi's residence. Because Benyi Tianzi and Yamada Shuki didn't have a mission today, so Yu Yu came to them to explain why he was not in the team during this period. After ringing the doorbell, Yu Yu stood outside and waited for a while. Benyi Tianzi came out. Just like the first time I saw her, Benyi Tianzi still had straight blonde hair that reached her waist, a white top that was spotless, and a pure black skirt. It was very simple, but it formed a strong contrast with her hair, but it didn't look abrupt. There was a different kind of beauty. When Benyi Tianzi came out, she was stunned when she saw Yu Yu. Then she walked towards Yu Yu with a happy face. "Yu Yu, you're back." She walked in front of Yu Yu and stood there, looking straight at Yu Yu with a pair of beautiful big eyes. She seemed very surprised. Indeed, Benyi Tianzi and Yamada Shuki were a little unhappy about Yu Yu's behavior of leaving the team during this period. Yamada Shuki envied Yu Yu for being able to follow Kakashi out of the village to perform sea-level missions. He also wanted to go. Benyi Tianzi was unhappy because she couldn't see Yu Yu for a long time. Yu Yu smiled and said, "I went out to perform a mission some time ago. It's hard for you to complete the mission of our team alone." Hearing Yu Yu's words, Benyi Tianzi shook her head and said, "It's not hard. I know it's good for you to go out with teacher Kakashi to perform missions. I heard that you have become a Chunin." Benyi Tianzi looked at Yu Yu with envy. At the same time, there was some admiration. Yu Yu was the first one in their class to become a Chunin, and it had only been less than 2 months. Not to mention that she had a good impression of Yu Yu. Yu Yu waved her hand and said, "It's just good luck. Let's go and find Shumyu. The same teacher said that you were resting today. Do you want to come out and get together?" Benyi Tianzi didn't think about it and agreed directly, "Well, okay." Even if Yu Yu didn't look for her, she would look for Yu Yu. After that, the two went to find Yamada Shumyu. After the two left, on the second floor of Benyi Tianzi's house, a man and a woman stood by the huge floor-to-ceiling window and watched the two people going away. These two people are Ben Yi Tianzi's parents. Ben Yi Tianzi's father is a little fat, but he is 1.8 meters tall, with a handsome face. However, Ben Yi Tianzi's mother is also 1.7 meters tall, and she doesn't look short when standing next to him. The two stand together, very well matched. No one would say that Ben Yi Tianzi's father is not worthy of her beautiful mother. Ben Yi Tianzi's father is called Ben Yi Sukuichi, one of the top 10 wealthy businessmen in the Land of Fire. He and Ben Yi Tianzi's mother Senju Ming are obviously married in a family marriage. However, the two are living very happily. Ben Yi Sukuichi asked calmly, "Is that child Jing Wen Yi Yu?" Senju Ming nodded. "It is indeed a very good child. Let's not talk about strength. Just the appearance and temperament are not worse than Tian. I think there is no need to interfere in their affairs. Whether they end up together or not, Tianzi should not suffer any loss." Just at the first sight, Ben Yi Sushi recognized Yi Yu. Of course, it was mainly because he had investigated Yi Yu's information. Coupled with the actions of the third generation yesterday, Ben Yi Sushi changed his mind. When he heard that Ben Yi Tianzi liked a civilian ninja before, he did not agree. He could allow Ben Yi Tianzi and Yamada Muki, who is also a civilian, to be good friends, but if they developed a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, or even got married in the future, Ben Yi Sushi would never agree. Yamada Muki, Yi Yu naturally could not. But yesterday's actions of the third generation, coupled with his investigation of Yi Yu during this period, he was very optimistic about Yi Yu's future potential. After all, ninjas still have to rely on strength to speak. Senju Ming, who was standing aside, nodded and said, "I thought that child was very cunning before and it was not easy to get along with him. But now it seems that the child just doesn't like the attention of others. But let's see what Tianzi chooses in his future development. If the two are really destined to be together and the child achieves something in the future, I won't object." Although Benye Tsukushi still has the final say in the Benye family, Benye Tsukushi still respects Senju Ming's opinion on his daughter's feelings. Benye Tsukushi looked for a while, and only turned and left after Yi Yu and Benye Tadako disappeared from his sight. Senju Ming was still standing there, and she was very concerned about her daughter's future happiness. After all, Benye Tadako was born in the Benye family. If she didn't find a partner she liked and who could be recognized by Benye Tsukushi, she was destined to marry into a certain family in the future. Senju Ming didn't want her daughter to be unhappy in the future. Although she was very happy to marry Benye Tsukushi and Benye Tsukushi treated her well, this was a very low probability event. She had seen too many girls from the Ben family who were married out of marriage and lived very badly. Senju Ming still hoped that her daughter could find someone she liked. In the ninja world, Benyi Tianzi is already 12 years old. Because she is from a wealthy family, she is not young at this age. When she married Benyi Tianzi, she was only 18 years old. And they were engaged when they were 14 years old. This is why Senju Ming pays so much attention to boys who like Benyi Tianzi. If the other party is not good enough or is not good to Benyi Tianzi, her husband will definitely not approve of it, and Benyi Tianzi will have a hard life in the future. Because of her age, she will need to find a family of equal status to get engaged in 2 or 3 years. Before that, if she does not find a partner she likes and is approved by her husband, she can only marry with other families, and there is a high probability that she will not live a happy life. Chapter 119. After Yi Yu and Benyi Tianzi found Yamada Shuki, they went to a barbecue restaurant. Because he is already a Chunin, Yi Yu can take higher level tasks in the future. Chunin can take B-level tasks at most, which refers to the highest level of tasks that can be taken when the leader of the team is a Chunin. If there is a Jonin in the team, A-level and S-level tasks can also be taken, but at this time the Jonin is the leader and the Chunin is the assistant to the Jonin. Yi Yu is rarely generous, that is, he will probably not have to worry about money in the future. The commission for a B-level task is 80,000 minus 200,000 taels. The village takes half, and the rest is distributed to the team that performs the task. Yu thinks that he will have at least 40,000 taels of income when he goes out alone to perform AB level task in the future. It is equivalent to Yu's living expenses for almost a year before. Of course, for ordinary ninjas, they must spend a lot of money to buy ninja tools. Even if all the money for AB level task belongs to them, it is only enough to buy 30 or 40 detonating tags. A ninja with average strength, even a senior ninja, will carry at least 10 detonating tags when going out on a mission. This is also the reason why many senior ninjas, who have performed so many missions and should have a high income, still live in poverty. This is because the purchase of ninja tools accounts for most of their income. And for most ninjas, ninja tools are an important factor in whether they can survive when they go out on a mission. They dare not be careless. Otherwise, even if they save money, they will not be able to spend it. All ninja tools need to be purchased by themselves. The village does not provide them. The village only provides a platform for posting tasks. The reason why Yu dares to spend money is that he does not need to purchase many ninja tools. At most, he will replace a batch of kunai and shuriken after a period of time. Because Yu's current fighting style does not require ninja tools at all. He has almost never used shuriken, and he uses kunai more often. But it is not used for fighting, but for threatening the enemy. Otherwise, when threatening the enemy, it is his own palm that is on their neck, which is indeed a bit weird. It is also because Yu has hardly used ninja tools, so the kunai and shuriken he bought when he graduated are still very new. There is no difference from when he first bought them. As long as Yu does not buy a house in the future, he can save a lot of money to live comfortably even if he cannot become rich by relying on the income of being a ninja. After all, Yu does not have high requirements for life. In addition, the house left by his parents was not destroyed in the Nine-Tailed Rebellion. In the future, as long as Yu does not want to buy a new house, he will basically not use money except for living expenses. This is also the reason why Yu is very satisfied with his promotion to Chunin. However, Yu's idea does feel a bit like being happy to be a cow and horse. He is not so crazy about money, but he also hopes that his life will be more comfortable and he does not want to be an ascetic. And he still hopes to make money by carrying out tasks, not by side doors. Yu's idea is different from others. He thinks that carrying out missions is very beneficial to him. Not only can he accumulate practical experience, but carrying out missions is basically equivalent to traveling at public expense. He is not opposed to it, on the contrary, he likes it. When he was in the Land of Waves, if he really wanted to make money, he would have killed Kato and robbed his money long ago. But Yu did not do that. At the barbecue restaurant, Yu explained to Ben Tianzi and Yamada Shuki what he had done during this period, and also told them that he would not be able to accompany them to carry out missions in the future. Although Ben Tianzi and Yamada Shuki were very sad, they did not say much. Although they did not spend much time with Yu, they still recognized Yu very much. They could not forget that Yu alone resisted the murderous aura of Mu Ben Yidong for them and allowed them to pass the graduation examination. At noon, the three were at the door of the barbecue restaurant. Yamada Shuki looked at Yu and couldn't help crying. Although he knew that he and Yu were no longer ninjas of the same level. But he was still very sad. He had always considered Yu as his good friend. But the two of them had only performed 2 missions together before they separated. Yamada Shuki raised his fist with tears in his eyes and said, Yu, no matter what kind of person you become in the future, you will always be a member of Team 11 and my best friend, Yamada Shuki. Yu was also touched and patted Yamada Shuki's shoulder seriously. No matter what I become in the future, I will always be a member of Team 11, and we are both in Konoha. It's just that we can't perform missions together in the future. Don't talk like I'm going to die. Yu smiled. Hearing Yu, Yamada Shuki Shumu burst into laughter and punched Yu's chest. I will try my best to become stronger. Although the hope is slim, I also hope to at least see your back and see you keep moving forward. Ben Tianzi looked at Yu and didn't say anything. She was the saddest. She didn't expect Yu to get together with them just to talk about this matter. She had never thought that Yu would leave before. She thought that as long as she worked hard, she would not hold Yu back. Now it seems that she will not hold Yu back, because Yu will not carry out missions with them in the future. Yesterday, when she heard that Yu became a chunin, she just admired Yu and thought that Yu was really amazing. But now she realized that the gap between her and Yu was so big that she couldn't see Yu's back. Yu looked at Ben-Yi Tianzi and smiled. Tianzi, goodbye. After Yu finished speaking, he was about to leave. Ben-Yi Tianzi finally couldn't hold it anymore and couldn't stop crying. But she still forced a smile and said, Yu, I will definitely try my best to catch up with you. Now her mind was blank, and she didn't know what to say at all. Yu nodded and smiled. I know, I believe you will become very strong. Although Yu said this sentence against his will, because he knew that Ben-Yi Tianzi's talent was not high, very ordinary. But he really hoped that Ben-Yi Tianzi would become stronger, at least to protect himself, and the same for Yamada Shuki. The position of these two people in his heart is different. If Yu would fool Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura, he would be annoyed by them pestering him. But for Ben-Yi Tianzi and Yamada Shuki, Yu sincerely hoped that they could become stronger and protect themselves. These two people gave Yu a very good feeling, and he could also feel that their feelings for him were real and they trusted him very much. But Yu had indeed opened up a big gap with them. Even though Yu had never had a clear understanding of his own strength, he knew that even with the most conservative estimate, his strength was far above the two of them, and he and the two of them were no longer ninjas of the same level. In the future, the two of them would not be able to interfere with the missions that Yu was carrying out. Even if Yu was reluctant, he knew that his friendship with them had to end. Chapter 120. After taking a final look at the two, Yu turned into a golden lightning and disappeared on the spot. Yamada Shuki and Ben-Yi Tianzi looked at the empty place, feeling bitter in their hearts. Yamada Shuki sighed, the gap is really too big. Just the speed just now, he is completely different from us. He is much stronger than us. Yu's instant body technique made Yamada Shuki completely understand the huge gap between them and Yu. Just the ninjutsu that Yu used casually was already difficult for them to reach. Not to mention that if Yu really took action, they would probably be killed instantly. It is even possible that even their guiding ninja, Mu Ben Yidong, would not be Yu's opponent. Ben-Yi Tianzi looked sad. Do we have a chance to catch up with him in the future? Yamada Shuki was silent. In the end, he just sighed, we can only work hard. It's good to see his back, as for catching up with him tilde. Yamada Shuki shook his head and smiled bitterly. He thought it was a ridiculous thing to catch up with Yu. Yamada Mushi didn't even have any confidence that he could see his back. Or rather, Yamada Mushi felt that he would never be able to see Yu's back in his lifetime. On the other side, after Yu left, he came to the Hokage building. Because the third generation gave Yu the right to enter the data room at any time yesterday. So when Yu entered the data room, no one stopped him. The data room has always been a place where all kinds of Konoha information, even secrets, are stored. Kakashi sneaked in before, and that time he was looking for information on wood release. And he was caught by the third generation, but the third generation did not punish him, and gave him the wood release information he wanted to find. It was only after reading those materials that Kakashi learned about wood release. It was here that Naruto stole the Book of Seals. Of course the third generation deliberately let him steal it that day. The data room is a place where Konoha's secrets are stored, and the defense is particularly strict. At that time, Naruto took the Book of Seals in a swaggering manner. Without the third generation's signal, the ninjas defending here should have committed suicide. And for so many years, Yu is the only ninja who entered here as a chunin. It can even be said that Yu is the only one who entered here without holding any position in Konoha. When Yu just entered the database, he saw the third generation sitting in the database. Yu was not surprised. Before coming in, he had already sensed the chakra of the third generation here. And Yu also knew why the third generation of Hokage was here. After seeing the third generation, Yu walked up to him and said, "Hokage, I want to come here to check some information." The third generation smiled and said, "It's Yu. I didn't expect you to come so soon. What information do you want to check?" Yu looked around and said, "Some ninjutsu information. It's best to have some information on sealing techniques. I'm more interested in sealing techniques." The third generation was a little surprised. Because Kakashi didn't tell the third generation that Yu had added a seal on Naruto. The third generation of Hokage appeared here to ask Yu about what happened last night. Moreover, the third generation thought that Yu must have come here for the ninjutsu sealed here, but he did not expect that Yu actually came for the sealing technique. Although he was a little surprised, the third generation still smiled and took Yu to a bookshelf. There were many scrolls on it. The third generation picked up a few scrolls and said, "These are some basic sealing techniques. Take a look to see if you can understand them. Sealing techniques are very difficult and require patience." The fourth generation Hokage also spent a lot of time to learn the sealing technique. The third generation specifically mentioned the fourth generation Hokage. In fact, he hoped that Yu would follow the fourth generation Hokage as an example. After all, he hoped that Yu would become a ninja like the fourth generation Hokage. Yu took the scroll and looked at it. They were all the sealing techniques that Kakashi had taught him before. Yu said a little embarrassedly, "Hokage-sama, to be honest, I have actually learned these sealing techniques. Kakashi taught me some." The third generation, who originally wanted to tell Yu some more stories about Minato Namikaze, paused. Looking at Yu in surprise, "What?" Yu had no choice but to say again, "Teacher Kakashi taught me the sealing technique, and I have mastered these sealing techniques." The third generation looked at Yu for a long time without saying anything. It made Yu very embarrassed to stand in front of him. After a long time, the third generation realized his own gaffe. "You have mastered these sealing techniques?" The third generation wanted to confirm. "You should know that the fourth generation Hokage did not have Yu's strength at Yu's age, nor did he master the sealing technique. Although the sealing technique seems to be not as good as those powerful ones in the ninja world, combat ninjutsu is shocking, but it is extremely difficult to learn and has a huge effect." The third generation couldn't believe that Yu had mastered the sealing technique at this age, even if it was just a few basic sealing techniques, but it was still shocking. Yu had no choice but to answer again, "Yes, Lord Hokage, I have mastered these sealing techniques. Teacher Kakashi taught me." The third generation was silent for a long time. It's not that he was afraid of Yu, but he was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. The atmosphere was very awkward for a while. Yu felt a little uncomfortable. It took a long time for the third generation to recover from the shock. He smiled bitterly and said, "It's amazing. You have mastered the sealing technique at such a young age. Even if it's just a few basic sealing techniques, it's very rare. It seems that Yu has a talent for learning sealing techniques, and your talent seems to be very high. You remind me of the fourth Hokage. Do you know the fourth Hokage?" The third Hokage seems to admire Minato Namikaze very much and keeps mentioning him in front of Yu. In fact, it is not difficult to understand. Minato Namikaze was the successor designated by Orochimaru when the third Hokage gave up his favorite disciple. The third Hokage is very satisfied with Minato Namikaze. After all, Minato Namikaze is his grandson, and Minato Namikaze is indeed very good. It has always been a matter of great pride for the third Hokage to recommend Minato Namikaze to be the fourth Hokage. Since the third Hokage decided to train Yu to become the fifth Hokage, he hoped that Yu could be as good as Minato Namikaze. In this way, he can retire with peace of mind. He is not young anymore, almost 70 years old, and his strength will decline in a few years. Konoha really needs a Namikaze Minato like Hokage to support it. But he didn't expect Yuyu's talent to be so amazing. Sealing techniques are difficult to learn even for him, who is known as a ninjutsu professor. It is even more difficult for ordinary ninjas to learn. But Yuyu learned several sealing techniques at the age of 12. Although they are just a few basic ninjutsu, it also proves that Yuyu has a talent for learning sealing techniques, and a very high talent. Because he speculated that Yuyu should have learned the sealing techniques during the execution of the mission in the Land of Waves. It took less than 2 months to master it. It can be seen that Yuyu's talent is very high. Listening to the third generation constantly mentioning Namikaze Minato, Yuyu felt a little strange, but still replied, "Of course I know, the fourth generation Hokage is Kakashi's teacher. He is the hero who sealed the nine-tailed demon fox and sacrificed himself to save the village."